Greetings, and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And today we will be finishing the final episode of what I like to call Dalek Month, the month that's all about the greatest villains in all of sci-fi, the Daleks. And what's really special about this episode is today I actually have some guests. So without further ado, let's introduce them all in the order that they arrived, because that's easier for me. So the first one to arrive was actually here in the studio before I came here, which is a bit disturbing. Who let this guy keys to the TARDIS? But really, I'm just happy to have this guy here. He's one of my best friends in this YouTube sphere and just generally in life. Say hello to Mr. Ben Rayner. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to talk about my favorite villain and other Doctor Who and Daleks. We're going to exterminate this.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get exterminated ourselves. Now, my other really good friend from this whole YouTube space, and he's also my partner in the trivia team we have on the John Roca's Patreon, and really one of my dearest, closest friends, and one of my favorite guys to talk about Doctor Who with, aside from Ben, of course, Soda. How are you doing, Sod?
I'm doing pretty good. This is going to be interesting to see just how many types of Daleks there are.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've kept adding new types of Daleks like hours before we started the show. And there were a couple ones that I was considering adding right during the time when me and Ben were sitting here waiting for you guys to join us. So, yeah. There are so many versions of Daleks, and some of which I don't even think we have on this list, but maybe that's for a future list. Now,
yes, that will definitely need to be for a future list.
Now, when I decided to make a T-ranking list of all the different Dalek designs, I knew there was one guy I had to bring up because I know how big of a fan of the Daleks he is. He talks about them whenever the conversation steers into Doctor Who on his show, where they talk about, shall we say, lesser television than Doctor Who. Please welcome Mr. Snark.
Thanks, Mr. Curator. One thing, how dare you? Second of all, you're probably right. It is probably lesser television, but there's still other entertaining shows besides Doctor Who. Just I really like watching Doctor Who. Of course, the Daleks are, my favorite villains of the week or whatever. And I've never understood why they could go 4 or 5 years without showing up sometimes. But I also I was interested in seeing just the evolution of Daleks just from the very beginning, which I don't know as much about, from going on from the 60s even through into the 80s and stuff like that. Some of the Tom Baker stuff I know, but I am here and happy to participate. Does that work? Come on, Soda.
Yeah, I suppose it does. And funny you should say that, because there were actual periods during the 60s and 70s where the Daleks really did, or rather the show really did go 4 or 5 seasons without showing any Daleks. But we'll get to that in the actual list. Last person I'd like to invite, he's another guy I just really enjoy talking about Doctor Who. Actually, on the 5-hour stream that I did last year, he actually stayed stayed after everyone else left, and we just kept talking about Doctor Who, and he's just a really great conversationalist that you just don't want to interrupt him when he's talking. And also, he beat me in the Star Wars Planets game on Taco's show, and that loss still stings. Please welcome Mr. Ryan Payne, or as he's known today, Stephen Grant. How are you doing, Stephen?
Well, I'm doing very good. Thanks for asking, Curator. It's just that I kind of feel a little awkward here. I mean, I definitely want to talk Daleks with you. It's just I'm a little uncomfortable because you bring up the planet game, and it's pretty clear that I've lost so many times on Taco's show that I'm kind of retreated well into myself.
Of course, he does a character when he comes to when you mention the
Spot
planet.
on. It's as spot on.
Yeah, very good accent.
Well,
Trust me,
and then
I'm
there's-
not going to be able to hold it a lot. I'm not going to be able to hold it a lot. So if you hear me dip, then it means I'm just tired of you talking like this.
Okay, let's see how long you can hold it for.
the ironic thing
Whole
is, it actually does fit well with the topic of today's show, or rather, the topic of the show in general, because we are talking about a British show. Now, before we actually get started, there are a couple of things I want to bring up because, as people who watch the show, all 5 people who curiously happen to be on screen at the moment, all 5 people who watch the show know that there is something I like to do every single week on the show, which is highlight people on their birthdays. And boy, oh boy, we actually have a lot today. So let's try to see if we can get through them as fast as possible so we can actually talk about the actual main topic of the show, of this episode. First off, on April 17th was the birthday of one of the best actors in the world right now. And yeah, he actually has a very bit of an interesting gateway entry into Doctor Who. Mr. David Bradley. Of course, he played the villainous Solomon in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship before getting recast as William Hartnell in the biographical special An Adventure Through Time and Space. And then he actually made his official debut as the first Doctor properly in Peter Capaldi's final episode, Twice Upon a Time. He is 80 years old, I believe. So, happy birthday to Mr. Bradley. And people who watched last week's episode know that last week we had sort of a double Peter, if you will, with both Peter Davison and Peter Capaldi celebrating their birthday the same week. We sort of have a similar thing with this episode. We have a double David situation because on April 18th was the birthday of Mr. David Tennant, the 10th Doctor himself. My personal favorite Doctor, a lot of other people's favorite Doctor.
Lovely.
And just generally...
Fantastic.
What?
I think that's fantastic.
I would have gone with Alonzi, but never mind. But yeah, my personal favorite Doctor, a lot of other people's favorite Doctors, and just generally a really fun guy to hang around with. And it's actually very fortuitous that you're here with us, Ben, because on the same day that David celebrated his birthday, 2 other people majorly associated with Doctor Who also celebrated their birthdays, and I have it on good authority that one of them is actually one of your favorites. April 18th was also the birthday of Mrs. Camille Kaduri, who also played Jackie Tyler in the original of Doctor Who, the Russell T Davies era.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice. Also on April 18th, Eric Roberts, who played the Master in the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie alongside Paul McGann, and he then later reprised the role in a series of Big Finish audio plays, simply titled Master.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Well, he always dresses for the occasion.
Yeah, he always dressed for the occasion. Finally, speaking of dressing... What?
I'm guessing this is a different Eric Roberts than the one from America.
No, it's the same one.
Same one.
No, it's the same. It's the same Eric Roberts, actually. Yeah.
This is from the American attempt at Doctor Who, the TV movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because the TV movie primarily takes place in America, and the
Comes
Master.
to Vancouver, funnily enough.
Yeah, but the Master
Which
takes
is supposed to be
over the
San
essence of American, and that's where Eric Roberts was playing in the movie.
I like Eric
And
Roberts.
speak-
He's a cool guy.
Looks like a disco Dracula.
Discola. And speaking
very
of
good.
dressing for the occasion, we have another person celebrating their birthday this week, or rather, celebrated their birthday on April 20th, either 20th or 19th. I can't remember. I apologize, but that was the birthday of the lovely, beautiful, and talented Louise Jameson. For those of you who don't know, she played the classic era companion Leela alongside the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. She did also reprise her role in a series of Big Finish audio plays, most notably her own sort of show alongside Lala Ward's Romana, simply titled Gallifrey. She did a bunch of seasons over on Big Finish as the presidential bodyguard to Lord President Romana. And I just really love this picture that she uploaded of how she's celebrating her birthday.
Nice.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And, yeah. Now, we'll close this up with a bit of sad news because on April 19th, sadly, was the 11th anniversary of the day we lost the late, great Elizabeth Sladen, who also obviously played Sarah Jane Smith from the John Pertwee era of the show, all through the first few years of the Tom Baker era. She returned for some of the David Tennant era, as well as some of the Matt Smith era. She appeared with all four of these Doctors, not including appearing alongside Peter Davison in the Five Doctors, also which included Patrick Troughton, the Second Doctor, and Richard Herndon playing a version of the First Doctor. And she 11 years on, and we still miss her. So, to the wonderful list of people we have today, from David Bradley to David Tennant, Camille Kaduri, Eric Roberts, Louise Jameson, and of course Elizabeth Sladen. Thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. So let's talk about Daleks now for a bit. Hey, what do you say? So, when I actually compiled this list, oops, that is the wrong share screen. So there we go. When I compiled this list together, there are a couple of other official lists that I found on the thing. On the tier ranking list website. This just happens to be one of them, but we will not be using this one because I don't think there's enough Daleks there, if you catch my meaning.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Guys,
this was
buckle
another
in. Hope
potential
you're wearing a
one.
diaper.
This was another potential one that I found, but again, not enough Daleks for my taste, so I decided to just, make my own. And the one I came up with is this. You like it?
Yep. Nice and simple.
Yeah, nice and simple. Only 48, which is weird to me that that I found such a small number. I mean,
Number?
Yeah, I was sure I was gonna find more. I was sure it was gonna be at least 100, but apparently not. So
A Dalek's a Dalek. How many more variations are there?
you'd be surprised, my friend.
Yeah.
I am surprised. All right, let's do this.
All right, let's get into it. The
There
first.
we go.
Oh yeah. Thank you. That's much better. Now, obviously, as you can see here, we have 3 tiers, which are exterminate, annihilate, destroy. They're the Daleks' main 3 catchphrase. Exterminate, annihilate, destroy. You can't get more simple to that. Obviously, exterminate is the tier because that's the thing that the Daleks are most heavily associated with. And annihilate starts with an A, and destroy starts with a D. So this couldn't be even more simpler if I tried. You guys think we need more tiers, or is 3 enough?
This will be good.
Mhm.
Yep, let's get started.
Alrighty then. So the first Dalek design to grace our screens is the original. You might say. I tend to call these the G1 Daleks, the original Daleks from Scarra, from their very first appearance on the show, in the episode simply titled "The Daleks." They first appeared in 1963, the very second episode of the show, as I mentioned. Here is a version of them colorized. They were basically pretty much all silver, very short base of the machine. The spheres decorating the bottom half were this bluish aqua-ish color. The dishes around the eye socket were all white with this white ring in the middle. They didn't have the traditional rectangular panels on the midsection where the weapon is, so that's something that was added later. But yeah, this is how the Daleks looked like originally. They had these small light bulbs, much smaller than the ones we're familiar with today, and obviously, as you probably know by now, they had a manipulator arm that was basically a plunger and a weapon that was basically an egg whisk. What do you guys think about these guys, the originals?
This has to, just because it's the one that started it all, it's the one that started the ship sailing, it has to go and exterminate.
Oh, 100%. I really liked it in color. I thought I think it looks pretty clean. It doesn't have the collar. Like I think the Daleks, have that little collar kind of thing coming down from below where the dome of their head is, or whatever, like where the arms are. So I think it looks kind of well. Yeah, I haven't seen a Dalek without it. Well, I must have seen this at some point, but it just never got into my head. But I thought it looked really sharp, especially the colorized version with the blue lights. I like it. I'd put it in Exterminate for sure.
Yeah, I have no objection putting this on Exterminate, not just for the fact it's the first one that started, but because of the design itself. I mean, looking at the containment unit of this Dalek alone, if you were to come across this, I mean, even if you do, I mean, if you come across an alien race, this would look kind of terrifying, especially if it's coming right at you. Sure, that's a plunger at the end of it, but you have no idea what exactly those weapons are going to do, especially with its eye stalk. You think with this would look not very intimidating, but even then, knowing that there is an alien creature inside, seeing if it's an advanced technical civilization, I mean, looks are deceiving. But even then, I'd still put this at Exterminate.
Yeah, I mean, in the first part of the 7-episode serial that they debuted in, you don't actually see them until the second episode. All you really see is just Barbara being pinned to a wall, and you just see the plunger slowly moving towards her. You're sort of seeing it from the Dalek's point of view. You're just seeing a plunger moving towards her, not knowing what it is, and then you get treated to this, the image of the full creature in the follow-up episode. Ben, how about you?
I like him. He's intimidating. He looks cool. I agree with everything everyone said.
Okie dokie. So we're putting it in Exterminate. I don't expect it to stay very high on this tier, but I really do love the Hardnull era episodes, the Dalek ones in particular. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at, and just a disclaimer, a lot of Daleks just are basically the same, but with one slight variation to it. Like in this episode, they have all the Daleks look the same, but then there's one Dalek with a different arm or just a different color of the dome or whatever. So to avoid that, we'll just be covering, to avoid making this a 5-hour video again, we'll just be covering if the differences are as minuscule as I just mentioned, we will just be covering them all in the same entry, like we're about to do with this next one, with the second one, the second time we ever got to see Daleks on the show. was in the Daleks' invasion of Earth, where in this episode they introduced. Well, first of all, in this episode, the first one, they introduced the idea that Daleks can't travel anywhere without static electricity. That's why only the base of the machine touches the ground. They absorb static electricity from the metallic ground, which allows them to move. So they can't. They can't. What? So they can't travel outside the city. They can't go on ground, so to speak. So in this episode, not only did they make the base much larger, they also gave them these solar discs on the back to sort of explain away how these Daleks can now traverse any sort of terrain.
I see.
This is them again colorized. This is not from the actual episode. This is from the aforementioned documentary, An Adventure Through Time and Space. But it gives us our best look at what these Daleks look like, colorized.
Mhm.
And the reason I mentioned earlier that there are slight variations in the same type of Dalek, but for the most part they still all look the same, is because of this character, the Dalek Sorcerer Commander, or as he was nicknamed at the time, the Black Dalek, which is the leader of the Daleks in this specific episode. Now, the concept of a different colored Dalek being the leader was introduced in this episode and has continued to remain a staple among the Daleks, still to this day. But the idea of the Dalek leader being a black-colored Dalek has actually changed back and forth. At one point, it was the opposite. It was the black Daleks that were the underlings, and a different colored Dalek being the leader. They kept changing what specifically the color of the Dalek is the leader. However, this idea of the black one being the leader was adopted, I should say, by the Cybermen, and remains to this day. Till this day, if you see a Cyberman with black handlebars or black highlights on the head area, it's the Cyber leader. So it's something that the Daleks introduced, and the Cybermen essentially assimilated, even though it's the wrong villain, but whatever. So what do you think about the invasion of Earth Daleks?
I really don't like the length of the plunger arm. It looks really weird.
Yeah, I suppose I agree. I mean, if you compare this to this, I suppose they were trying to make them look more intimidating on top of making it taller. So
it makes it look goofier.
That guy hanging up by the stairs does not look terrified in the least.
Nope.
He's
yeah,
just-
that's one of the benefits of being behind the scenes.
I don't like the bottom. I don't like that it looks like a tire.
It's the Dalek equivalent of a platform heel.
Yeah.
Well, I can see from a production standpoint why the base is that way, because of course from learning behind the scenes they did have people inside those machines, so I understand why the base was made to look a little thicker. And honestly, from a show standpoint, you can even explain as well, like you said before in the first introduction of the serial, they only use static electricity to move around. Possibly the platform. Sorry, I don't want to get too much into it, but I can just see from two standpoints why the base could be explained off. But I do agree the plunger itself, I didn't understand. I don't get why it needs to be longer, or it needs to have like an extended section.
Maybe because the Daleks are now taller, so they need to access things that are differently distanced. Because I mean, if you look, the Daleks are sort of cone shaped, so making them taller means the middle section is further away from what the Daleks on set need to interact with. So maybe that's why they made it longer.
Maybe they're just really excited.
Maybe, yeah. What do we think about the idea of Dalek hierarchy, which was introduced here with the Black Dalek?
I mean, it makes sense.
Because obviously, again, it's a black and white show, so you have to make the leaders stand out somehow.
Yeah.
So making them a different color is a right way to do that, and also it's a great visual distinction for all of us, for the audience. That is. So
And
obviously in black and white, the black colored metal or plastic that it's meant to look like metal stands out more than silver, I suppose.
Did the voice change in the ones back then? Like, did they go to a deeper voice? I remember seeing other black Daleks and different colored Daleks, and the voice would change a little bit. I know it would go a little deeper sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just to have that little bit of an inflection in their voice to set them apart as well.
To the best I can remember, the idea that a superior Dalek to the underlings having a deeper voice wasn't introduced until later in the show. So I don't think it was in this episode specifically.
Right. I would put it in the Annihilate tier. I do like them. I wouldn't. To be fair, it's gonna be hard to put any into the Destroy thing for me. I can think of one or two.
I was the same.
I'd put this one in Annihilate.
Okay. I mean,
I would put him in the Destroy. Sorry.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
It honestly looks like a bad sketch of a Dalek.
wow.
okay, so we have 2 for Annihilate, 2 for Destroy, which means I'm the tiebreaker here. I'm gonna say this: they're not bad. I mean, there are some bad designs out here, but really, I think the changes were just really unnecessary, and I really don't like the changes, especially the bigger base, especially considering that just having the disc on their backs is enough to explain why they're, in the story wise at least, they can now move everywhere. So I would say Destroy, but at the very top of Destroy, because again, like we said, like I said, they're not terrible. Okay, that's all I can say.
Sure.
Now we'll be skipping an episode on the show, so we could combine 2 episodes together in both the Chase and the Daleks Master Plan, because in the Daleks Master Plan we have Daleks with flamethrower, which is just
Lord.
if these guys weren't intimidating enough, they can shoot fire now, and they're in a jungle setting.
That is a thick, luscious looking jungle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a lot of work on that set. But this is actually the first time we actually, not necessarily the first time, it was introduced in the Chase, but the same models were kept for the Daleks Master Plan, where we actually see the rectangular metal.
They got the collar. They got that
metal
collar
bars.
thing up.
Yeah, on the midsection where the weapon and the manipulator arm is. This was later explained as solar panels, which is sort of a way of combating the larger bases and the circular discs on the back, to say that they use solar power now, even though not every planet they visit has a sun or something like that, but whatever.
Wow.
Daleks can now go everywhere, and it's because of these metal bars. And obviously, this design philosophy also extended to the Black Dalek himself, which I believe he actually looks a little bit better than he did back in the day, back in the previous appearance. So
Right. Flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
Practical.
Especially
Would you like a light? Would you like a light?
My kids love it.
I mean, honestly, it makes sense given that they're like the Daleks are in a jungle environment. Like the last thing they want leaves to be grinding their gears. You know.
you know what grinds my gears? I'm sorry.
Oh my god! What is happening?
Oh, I know what grinds your gears. Tiffany, I'm not going to say it, but I know what grinds your gears.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
So
is
what
a
do we do?
non-horror zone.
Jeremy, you set me up, man. You set me up.
I don't
No,
say
man,
which-
you're just
which
determined
version.
to bring that up whenever you feel like it. And
like,
just
really?
like last time,
Oh my god!
Oh my God, Mothman.
it's
That wasn't me. That wasn't.
well, all I'll say is what goes around comes around.
Oh boy!
Okay.
Oi.
Raiders of the Lost Ark
Justin
quotes.
Timberlake song.
Never mind.
Um,
So, these guys, what are we gonna do with these?
I'd put him at the top
Annihilate.
of Annihilate.
Yeah, me
Really?
too.
Oh, Annihilate. You said okay. You said Annihilate. Okay.
Annihilate. I mean, the metal bars is like a nice, good addition there. Although I do like in later series where the metal bars across is kind of there to really establish difference in hierarchy, especially in the New Who. In this one, I mean, it's still a good addition. You know, they're still starting off early with the Daleks. You know, before they really just start accentuating the differences of certain Daleks moving forward throughout the series. So I say Annihilate.
Okay. Cool. So, Annihilate. We have our first Annihilate. Now, we're going to put the show on hold for just a little bit to talk about these guys from the Peter Cushing movie. These movie-produced Daleks came in a kaleidoscope of colors that would make even the X-Men uniforms look colorless by comparison. They appeared in two movies, Doctor Who and the Daleks, and the Doctor Who and the Dalek Invasion of Earth 2150. Basically, they use the same design philosophy as their TV show counterparts. We see right here the ones without the metal bars on the middle section, and the ones with the metal bars. But yeah, they were much taller than the TV show Daleks. They look way more plasticky and action figure-y. The dishes on the eye stalk were now colored in light blue. There was several different colors for them. The manipulator arm, for the most part, is no longer a plunger. It's sort of this claw thing to grab things. They never actually did anything with it. The light bulbs that flicker when they talk were much bigger now. But overall, these Technicolor Daleks don't really do much for me personally. What do you guys think?
Can I just say it's nice to see a Star Wars reunion with Peter Cushing and R2-D2?
Oh,
Oh
dear
boy.
God.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wow.
What do you mean reunion? When did they ever actually met?
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Oi.
They met at the staff party.
Yeah.
Unless you're thinking of the Clone Wars, unless you're thinking of the Clone Wars animated series, Ben, where Tarkin has clearly met R2-D2, but that's a different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Thank you, Ryan.
But your question, because it still wasn't Peter Cushing. It was only a replication of his face.
Wow.
You fell for it, Ben. And it wasn't
What a
me.
pity, Ben. You've activated my trap card.
Oh, my God.
F me.
Well, to
I
that I
like-
say a foolish miscalculation.
I'm trying.
No, it was nice.
Miscalculate.
It was nice.
Hey Ben, don't try. Do or do not. There is no try.
We're getting our genres mixed up here.
Okay, now you.
I'm turning down a path that you wouldn't like.
You mean you're going down a path I can't follow? Is that what you were trying to say, Ben?
Move along.
I like those guys. I like their colors.
I like
Yeah,
the
me
colors,
too.
I don't like the claw.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
don't
the
like
claw-
the
and you're the
claw?
splinter.
Me afraid of a claw.
Nice.
I'd put these. I wouldn't want to see them destroyed. I'd put them
No.
in Annihilate. I don't think.
Yeah, me
They
too.
may not
Yeah,
be
I
the
do that
best,
based on
but
colors alone.
yeah, I like the colors. I think they look sharp.
Wait, you're taking Destroy as in destroy these images? No, I thought Destroy was just more of the C grade of like exterminate, annihilate, destroy.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No, we're destroying them afterwards, guys.
No,
This is
destroy.
it. This is the
Destroy
last
is-
we'll ever see of them. Or maybe not. Maybe
No,
I'm going a little overboard.
I'm not really a big fan of the movies themselves, but as far as the design of the Daleks, I would say they're fine. They're not good. They're not terrible. They're just fine. Because again, we actually have movie budget worthy Daleks for the first time.
This starts making me think why the fandom lost their crap when it came to evolution in the Matt Smith of the Power Ranger Daleks. But we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
They were inspired by these guys. They were inspired by these guys.
Go the Power Rangers.
You got the Power Ranger Daleks? These are the Sentai Daleks.
Ooh, I like that, Ryan. I like that.
Super
I have
Sentai
no
Daleks.
idea what that means.
Don't
So
worry.
Annihilate
You know what that means, Stark?
or just
And alien.
I've never seen it.
I would put them high on the destroy list because there's so many more designs here. Like I put them up a little bit high on the destroy list because depending on where we go, I personally believe these could bump up to Annihilate.
Okay.
So let's put them on destroy for now
Okay.
and see where it goes. Now, we're still not back to the show yet because we have to talk about some comic book Daleks. And this is where we have the debut of our very first look at the Dalek Emperor, which looked like this
Oh my
in the
God.
comic back in the
No,
day.
that's ugly. I
was
don't like
basically-
that at all.
He was
It was
stunned by
basic-
it.
It was basically the traditional Dalek body, but a much bigger and rounder dome with multiple light bulbs on the top. I mean, depending on the versions, in this picture there's 6. On some pictures there's like 4 or 5. But yeah, it's meant to signify that he's the Emperor. He's important, and he's got an overbloated ego. This is how he looks like in the Daleks animated show that came out 2 years ago on the Doctor Who YouTube channel, which was actually the subject of last week's episode. He looks a lot better in this than he does here, but it's essentially the same concept. Even the weapon looks a little bit different. I can't say it looks more intimidating, but it's definitely different.
He kind of reminds me of Mysterio a little bit.
I never thought of that.
It reminds me of, oh God, what's this name from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? The robot that was voiced by Alan Rickman.
Oh,
Mervyn?
shit.
Mervyn.
Well, I mean,
Marvin.
honestly,
Marvin.
this honestly just feels like it really just looks like a bad design, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they want the higher-ups to look a little more different compared to the other Daleks, but this feels like a megalomaniac that you come across in a Looney Tunes. Like, this is where Marvin the Martian will report to. Especially with this photo that you set there, because then the middle of the Dalek's body looks like a portion of the opening skirt that Marvin wears. So this clearly just looks like Marvin the Martian superiors.
So destroy then.
Yeah.
Destroy.
Yeah,
Yes, nice.
destroyed
I like-
after it's been
It's like an
roasted.
observatory.
At the bottom of destroy, right?
Yeah.
Boy.
Where's
I
my
appreciate the attempt at making them look different, but execution goes a long way.
Yeah, that was an attempt that should never have seen the light of day.
And it was clear you said these were introduced during the comic run in an animated show, meaning that clearly the person who made this thought, oh, kids would like this. What, a gumball machine that can kill me? No thanks.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm only going to say this once. The comic books that this design was introduced in back in the 60s was not meant for kids, and that is all I can say on the matter.
well,
I'm not saying that in generalizations, but I appreciate that. I'm just saying that, look, as far as comic book concerns, I know comic books are not all for kids. There were definite comic books that were out there. There's horror comics, there's mystery comics, there's cop comics, there was porn comics, and I know that for sure.
You wanna buy
I've come
those?
across a few of those. So all I'm saying is that if you look at the generalization of this, somebody who may have come across this comic looking at the Doctor who must have thought, oh, this was meant for kids. But then when you bring up that note and they open and they go, oh, this really ain't meant for kids. Meaning that design alone gives me a very wink, wink, nudge, nudge porn vibe. So definitely destroy.
Okay.
You know what that reminds me of, 50?
What?
He reminds me of a Putin dialect. from The Simpsons.
Oh God.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, moving on. Next and final one from that comic book run, we have Dalek Zeg, which is the first one we actually have a bit of a story for. Dalek, long story short, Dalek Zeg was a Dalek scientist from a specific point in time in the Dalek Empire before the Dalek Emperor. This guy believed that the Daleks were ready to leave planet Scarra and go out and conquer the entire universe because he didn't think their casings were tough enough to withstand any and all alien weapons. So they tried to experiment by making their casings a bit tougher. And during that time, Dalek Zeg discovered a new form of material called Metallurt, which he then applied to his casing, making him essentially indestructible, even from the Dalek Emperor's weaponry. And he sort of developed a bit of a god complex. He sort of, as you can see here in this panel specifically, he challenged the Dalek Emperor for supremacy, claiming that he's now the strongest Dalek in the universe. He should be Emperor, not Fatso over here. So but eventually he was destroyed by the Black Daleks' superior firepower. But because of his discovery, the Dalek Emperor was able to make a sort of metallurt and a Dalekanium alloy combination to make his Daleks more stronger, which allowed them to conquer the galaxy. So he actually has a bit of a role to play in the story, aside from just looking really good with the gold and red, which may have inspired several other versions of Daleks that we will see eventually on this list.
I like this one because he kind of reminds me of Iron Man. I don't know. I would put him in the exterminate one.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just because I like the color scheme.
Well,
And
I do.
Famous just with the flames. Is that a flamethrower that he's using?
No, that's the usual Dalek.
They're blast. Yeah, the blast ray. I like the explanation that they experimented. They experimented to make their casings much more durable, especially given how it start off. They start off slow from being the only beings on their planet, then to invading Earth, and now they want to explore more of the galaxy to eliminate life. So it makes sense that they want the designs of their casings to be more impossible to destroy. So that first image you showed, I liked it because it's just a simple it looked like a brand new plating design. And then this one looks like this one right here, the red and yellow, looks like the finished product.
Well, it's a very old comic, so the color sort of withered a little bit over time. It's basically supposed to be the same color in both images. Just assume both images look like this one.
Gotcha.
So we are settling on Annihilate for Dalek Zeg?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
Yeah,
above the free-for-all Daleks?
Yeah, put it on top. Yeah, on top of Annihilate.
Cool. Now we're finally back to the show. I'm actually pretty curious to see how this will be received by the general people here in this room with me. But we talked about the Dalek Emperor in the comics. So in the finale of Patrick Troughton's debut season, The Evil of the Daleks, the Dalek Emperor made his TV debut, and he looked like this.
Oh, burn it!
Now, for context, this is him. The other Dalek next to him is a Dalek guard, which is, I guess, also a different.
Much.
But this is what he looks like. He looks like a giant tower connected to the entire city through wires. He's got a bunch of light bulbs surrounding the entire top half of it. He definitely has that Dalek cone shape with a larger head. He's got the eye stalk. The spheres look a little bit different. And most importantly, he actually has an intimidating voice, an intimidating, scary, commanding voice. For once.
Well, one thing's for sure, I don't want to have a gobstopper from this thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Because that's what it looks like. It looks like one of the machines that Willy Wonka used to make its everlasting gobstoppers.
Ugh. With boobs.
I have another riddle for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow,
I
Chris.
understand. I understand the point of the for the person in charge, for the evil bad guy. It's supposed to look bigger, more intimidating. But I'm sorry, if it looks connected to all these tubes, it reminds not that gossip. It reminds me of one of the Dragon Ball Z movies where they had a brain inside a robot that was just pinned up against the wall, and then it gets out and it's in this whole constructed body. That's what it reminds me. Dr. Wheeler. Dr. Wheeler from one of the Dragon Ball movies. That's what this thing reminds me of. That the top part is as big brain, and the rest of it just looks like it's immobilized. Like it's only there to just spout commands and look intimidating.
I like the design. I like that it's stationary because it's the Emperor. He doesn't need to move much, and he's basically controlling everyone from one corner. The one thing I don't like about it is that this version of the Emperor doesn't have a weapon, which means it's basically defenseless. He's mainly relying on these guards right here to protect him, which eventually, just like another Emperor, his overconfidence was his weakness, and that led to his downfall. Because once the Imperial Guards were taken out, he was defenseless when the Dalek uprising happened on the city of Scarra, which destroyed pretty much the entire city, him included. So I think the Emperor should have a weapon.
So you're telling me this is a video game boss level bad guy to where you just gotta defeat the drones before you can take any shots at him.
Kinda, or in this specific case, make new drones to fight the other drones and escape the city and let them destroy each other. That's more or less what happened there.
Yeah.
I like him. He's cool looking.
Thank you, Ben. Finally, someone positive about this guy.
I'm not positive.
Oh,
I like my Daleks to look like Daleks. I would say destroy this guy.
oh, you would destroy him. Okay.
I would say low. I put low on Annihilate. Very low on Annihilate.
Me too.
Me too.
Well, would we say? Yeah, I suppose there's no way I can convince you guys to put him above the flamethrower Daleks, right?
Well,
No.
No way.
what argument would you have given?
That I honestly think he looks cool because he's much larger. The voice, I suppose you have to watch the episode, but the voice really does change a lot. And I liked all of the light bulbs flashing independently of each other. But the main problem I can say here is that this episode, in and of itself, is one of the missing episodes. So you don't actually get to see this guy in action too much.
Oh, but you did say it had no weapon on it. It had no weapon, right?
Yeah, that's the only downgrade I'd say about it. But I mean, that's the only thing I would say keeps it from S tier, in my opinion. But there are too many downgrades.
But you are right if we hit to watch the episode, because most of the Daleks we're watching, it's all about the episode they were incorporated in, or the movie that they were incorporated in. So a lot's going to fall into, we've seen the Dalek, but I think majority of this is just going to be just from giving off the impression it gives us.
Yeah, the thing about a lot of these Daleks you see on this list right here, a lot of them were just one-offs. So if you only have one episode to make an impression, you got to make sure it's a good one. So that's why a lot of these failed and a lot of these didn't. So after this episode was probably the biggest break between seeing Daleks on screen. Well, the second biggest break from seeing Daleks on screen. This episode was in 1968. The next time we see the Daleks in this TV show, that is, was in 1972. 4 years, an episode titled Day of the Daleks, which also may have inspired the name Day of the Doctor. And we see Daleks in full color on the TV show for the very first time. This is what I meant earlier. So now this golden colored Dalek with the black spheres, he's the leader, and these grayish Daleks are the underlings, which this specific design for the black/gray Daleks kind of stuck around for pretty much the entirety of the 70s and 80s. Now there were slight variations, as I mentioned earlier. They made some of the paint job different. They made different changes to the metal bars, but for the most part, it was this design with the bluish color on the dishes on the eye stalks that kind of remained all throughout the next 2 decades of Doctor Who with the Daleks. So we're counting them all in here, as well as the Genesis era Daleks and the Civil War era Daleks. But yeah, it's really mainly the gold one that's the standout in this image. So what do we think?
I like him.
Yeah, I like him too. This might be my favorite so far, to be honest.
I agree.
So you look like you're trying to speak, but you're muted. So,
oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I like them too, and I think they feel more important.
Yeah,
just by looking at them, they feel important.
And also the idea of golden Daleks being in charge now actually bled through into some Dalek lore, which we will see in our next entry. But go ahead, Ryan. There.
I was gonna say, yeah, I like it's back to a bit of a simplistic design, but also the color, really differentiate the Daleks. Like it's got a great the Three Skulls of Tagunda vibe. The gold one's in charge, silver, who knows, is maybe the lieutenant, and then the jade one could be just a simple drone.
Yeah. One negative I'll say about
the drought, but that's fine.
Yeah. One negative I'll say about these Daleks, they don't have the best voices, but there was a special edition of this episode where they actually redid the entire all of their lines with Nicholas Briggs, who does the voice of the modern era Daleks, replacing all the scenes with the Dalek voices. So that really does help them a lot. The special edition for this episode has really elevated these Daleks a lot. In my opinion, where do we put these guys?
Obviously, I exterminate them.
Yeah, I put it.
Yeah.
Exterminate.
Really? That high?
Yeah, me too.
I mean, not too high though, but
lower end.
As far as TV shows goes, a very great look, almost a return to form, but it looks like they are really showing they're really trying to differentiate between the Daleks. Really give you the hierarchy.
Okay, speaking of hierarchy, now we have one of my personal favorites, and please excuse me as I geek out about this guy, because from the episode Planet of the Daleks, we have the Supreme Dalek making his television debut. He's the leader of the Supreme Daleks. He just the scene that introduced him, it's basically, this is the Dalek equivalent of Darth Vader. When you see him for the first time on screen, it's like the Emperor landed on planet Spyridon, escorted by 2 Dalek guards, and just his voice really intimidating. The saucer-shaped things are under the dome are much more straight now and much more properly placed. I love the nuts and bolts on this guy, the black and gold color. Here's a different look at him. The eye stalk, I love the eye stalk. The light bulbs on the dome that flash when he speaks. This guy, what's different about this guy is that when he speaks, both the light bulbs and the eye stalk flash and flicker whenever he talks. I love that. And when he shows up, pretty much the first thing he does is just, you feel the level of importance that this Dalek has, the level of authority that he has. And it's the Dalek that other Daleks fear to cross his path. In his introductory scene, he's just accusing the Dalek leader on Spyridon for failing to do his duties properly. And you can see, even though Daleks don't have much in the way of expressions or emotions, you can tell that Dalek was afraid just by the sound of his voice. And really, all this Dalek is just standing there saying is, "The responsibility was yours. You have failed. The Supreme Council does not accept failure." And he just shoots the Dalek dead. And seconds after doing that, he turns around and continues to bark orders at the rest of the Daleks in the area. And the Daleks, having seen their leader just get exterminated, they were like, "Yes, Supreme Dalek, whenever you see Supreme Dalek, please don't exterminate the Supreme Dalek." So yeah, this I love the Supreme Dalek. What do you guys think?
I like him, but it looks like he's wearing hair curlers.
Oh my god!
But
Well,
I agree with
I
everything
think
he's saying. He looks
yeah,
pretty cool.
I think that looks
the
like
go?
the Daleks going forward, right? With the two things on his head.
I like him. I hate Gemini.
I think this is a better showing of a higher figure than that bulbous head-looking one from earlier.
Yeah. And
Oh,
also
yeah,
the
he's
voice carries
exterminate this guy for sure.
Yeah, I knew it.
the muted one. What say you? Still muted.
He's passed out. He passed out drunk.
Yeah.
What? No,
Yeah.
no. Sorry, I was talking to somebody. Look, I was able to hear you guys. Look, I like the form of the Supreme Commander, and the fact that we do have a character introduced in the Dalek hierarchy that even the Daleks, creatures that are not supposed to, feel fear. The fact that it intimidates fear out of the other Daleks really says a lot. And yeah, the fact that he is a different side, he is a different design of the other Daleks, kind of shows you like, what the hell did this Dalek do in order to lead all the other Daleks?
So, I mean, I'd say put him at the top of Exterminate. What do you guys think?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I'm
sounds
fine with
about
that.
right.
I'd say Exterminate, yeah.
Okie dokie. Unfortunately, this is not the last time we're going to see this, but unfortunately, we are kind of going from one of the better designs to one of the not so good designs. We have what I like to call Exelon Daleks from the
Oh, boy.
story Death to the Daleks. So yeah, this is about the weakest that the Daleks have ever showed up. This is a complete one-off. They only showed up for one episode, and then they went back to the traditional grayish Daleks that we see here in Day of the Daleks and have been seen before in Planet of the Daleks. But yeah, these guys were only for one episode and for no good reason. And
It honestly looks like that middle part is made of paper.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the weakest that the Daleks have ever looked like. These are the easiest killable Daleks in existence.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not kidding. At one point during the episode, one of the mutated inhabitants of the planet Exelon, while he was being attacked by one of the Daleks, he just walked up to it and just pulled its weapon from its socket and broke it. I'm not making this up. This happened in the episode. And
Wow.
the Dalek was like, assist! Evacuate! Evacuate! These guys, here's a different look at them. You can see here, one thing that's interesting about them is that the base is sort of half silver, half black, but that's really the only positive thing you can say about them. Like, yeah, again, the blue dishes on the eye stalk, they're basically when I went back to the traditional G1 Daleks with the silver color, but they made them silver and black, which I don't think fits them. And unfortunately, the only thing I can think of whenever I see this design is how easily defeated they were in that episode, which is literally titled "Death to the Daleks."
Huh.
One thing I can't say about them is if you look closely in this image in particular, because the environment on the planet was so toxic to them and they made them so weak, their weapons didn't work. So they had to switch to a different form of weapon, which was a projectile weapon, which is more of a machine gun based, as you see here in this image specifically. Also, some of them had these red light bulbs. Some of them had the traditional white ones. And you'd think that it's meant to symbolize hierarchy, but it kind of doesn't. it's never quite you're never quite sure if the red ones are the leader or are the leaders, or if the ones with the white light bulbs are the underlings. You're never quite sure. So yeah, and I believe this specific design was only featured once in the modern era of the show in Asylum of the Daleks, I think.
Oh.
And even then, it was like specifically the battle-hardened, damaged, and deranged Daleks that the other Daleks refused to go near. And even in that episode, when the Doctor walks into the final chamber to save Oswin, Oswin mentions Daleks from 5 specific battles in particular, namely Campbell from the Daleks Master Plan, as well as Iridium from the Chase, which is also this picture, Spyridon, which is this the planet of the Daleks, and Exelon, which is these guys. So it's an event that the Daleks would much rather forget rather than talk about. So yeah, even the Daleks don't want to admit these guys exist.
So
let's,
I think it's pretty easy then.
Yep.
Kick them to the destroy curb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the bottom of destroy.
Yep.
I mean,
destroy.
they still look better than the Emperor, which is also in the destroy.
Which is true. That is true. So I would put him above that Emperor.
Above the Emperor, above the large bottom one, the large bottom Daleks that make the world go round. Or
Yeah. There we go. Right. Whoop.
Whoa,
I mean, they still look like Daleks, which is the important part. They still look very Dalek-y. Okay, this is perhaps the most controversial one on the list. It's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, bro.
A lot of people would consider this not a Dalek, and some people would say that you have to put this on the list. So I just figured, what the hell? Let's put this guy on the list and suffer the consequences. It's Davros, the creator of the Dalek.
Boo! Boo! I'm kidding.
What are you doing?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just the way
Yeah.
you're building it up. You're building it up to make it as if we were gonna hate this. So I decided just to say boo.
No, it's not really hate. It's just he's not necessarily a Dalek, but his life support system was the inspiration for what the Daleks' travel machine looked like, or at least the bottom half of it. So that's why I personally would put him
just
on.
look at Davros though. Just look at him. Despite the bottom half, look at the rest of him though. I mean, he for Christ's sake has a cybernetic eye because he's an old man, so he's having trouble with his other ones. You practically
No, it's because he got badly damaged in an attack.
What?
It was because he was born on the much later half of the 1,000-Year War between the Khalids and the Thals. He was caught up in an explosion in the Khalid city, and he lost he lost most of his skin, his bottom half of the body, his left arm, his taste buds, and the use of his eyes, to the point where even opening them is excruciatingly painful for him. That's why he's in this life support system. That's why he was given the cybernetic eye. And that's how he came up with the idea of, let's weaponize this and put the Khalid mutants inside.
Gotcha.
And you pretty much just boasted why I say he's 60% Dalek.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think he should be on the list.
Which in all fairness, 60% is still more than half, so that makes him mostly Dalek.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not 100%, it's 50%. That's what I always say. But
we're not pure Daleks.
I don't think that's the way math works.
We're not judging on purity. Okay, that's what makes us better than Daleks. We accept.
That's right.
But see, the thing is, the Daleks value racial purity almost as much as they value the extermination of everything else. Which is why in his debut episode, the Daleks exterminate him because they believe he's not a pure Dalek, so he doesn't deserve to be in their ranks. Now, obviously, they find ways to bring him back later, but there was always this constant struggle of, do the Daleks allow Davros to be part of their ranks because he's not full Dalek yet? And that led directly into the Dalek Civil War in the 80s. So, because some Daleks were loyal to Davros and some Daleks were loyal to this guy. So, you know.
I don't know. I personally would put him in exterminate myself because it's freaking Davros.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, he's an S tier villain, but is he an S tier Dalek design? What I will say though, I love the black and silver combination. We don't see that a lot in other Daleks.
It is what the Daleks are designed after. So
The dramatically sighing Ryan, I believe, has something to say about that.
No, I don't. I was agreeing with Soda to put him in exterminate.
Okay, but where exactly?
we can figure that part at the end, I guess.
Yeah.
I would put him in the middle.
Okay, Davros in the middle. This middle?
That's not middle. Lower. Yeah.
That's the spot.
Okie doke.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned earlier that these grayish, blackish Daleks that were introduced in the Day of the Daleks sort of stayed on for the entirety of the 70s and 80s, and they were basically the basis and inspiration for the Renegade Daleks, which were on the opposite side of the war in the Dalek Civil War. But kind of what originated the Renegade Dalek design was this one random, seemingly unimportant Dalek that was in the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, just because they felt the need to shoehorn a Dalek into the 20th anniversary special of the show. That being said, he was there for like one scene, I think, shooting at the First Doctor and Susan in a Hall of Mirrors type location, and eventually the Doctor and Susan tricked him into shooting himself in the mirror and exterminating him.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
this is the design that went on to become associated with the Renegade Daleks. The only difference they made is they got rid of the stupid red on the edge of the weapon and the red on the light bulbs, which is completely dumb and stupid, and I'm glad they got rid of it. But this is basically the main design for the Renegade Daleks.
I like
Destroy.
these. I like these.
Yeah, they're not bad.
I don't like that gun.
I hate that gun too, but the rest of the design, I guess I can give a pass to the light bulbs, but the gun just really throws me off. But the rest of the design is pretty good. So I
I
wouldn't
mean,
put
yeah,
it
it was like brought back for like a special, so I mean, nothing against it.
Okay. I mean, so you put him at the bottom of Annihilate, but below the Emperor?
Yeah.
I don't
Sure.
know.
How is it that the Emperor was on the bottom of both tiers up until this point?
I don't know.
Because they failed to impress me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I confess myself disappointed. Okay, so now we have a design that basically did jack shit other than look good, but then again, looking good is what we're judging here today. We have from the episode Revelation of the Daleks, we have this glass Dalek.
Kill him with
Ah.
fire! Kill him with fire!
Yeah, that's destroyed. You don't need to go any further, 50. Destroy it.
Oh, really? Because it gets worse. It
No.
gets worse.
That's
Wait,
destroy it.
If it's meant
Hold
to
on, hold
scare
on.
people, then yeah, it's doing its job. But
Ugh.
also, it's a terrible design unless the space glass is meant to be thicker.
Is that a
instead of-
human?
That's supposed to be a
No.
Dalek, right?
I did
No.
say it gets worse.
Oh,
In
That's a
this
little mutant
episode,
dude.
Davros basically takes the corpses of dead people and turns them into Daleks. And he's using this
Oh,
glass
this is
glass
where that
Dalek
stupid fucking
to
trope
conduct his
comes from.
experiment. So this glass Dalek is basically like a test tube for creating new Daleks. And one of the most terrifying moments in all of Doctor Who is this woman sort of goes into this room where she's not supposed to, and she finds this glass Dalek, and this creature inside looks at her, recognizes her, and then she realizes that's her father. And that's how the
Ooh.
episode ends. That's the cliffhanger.
burn it.
I did say it gets worse.
Burn it. That's destroy. That's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at this from a gothic horror standpoint, I'd say put it at the top of destroy. But if we're just, with the whole with the whole the Frankenstein, the mad scientist thing, yeah.
Seeing the insides like that. Ugh.
Well, we in one fell swoop, we saved both emperors from being at the bottom. Personally,
We're heroes.
I love the glass design, like as just a statue. It just the fact that there's a human inside is what really sells the horror aspect of it. But as a glass design of a Dalek, I think they really outdid themselves. But I mean, too many people hated it for me to put it anywhere above the bottom. Okay, so now we have a design that was first introduced in this episode, Revelation of the Daleks, but in my opinion was perfected in the next appearance we see the Daleks in, which is Remembrance of the Daleks, which is the very height of the Dalek Civil War. We have the Imperial Daleks, which were loyal to Davros.
Or as I like to call them, Motown Daleks.
Oh,
sorry.
In the Dalek Civil War, there were two warring factions of Daleks: the Renegade Daleks, which were the grayish ones we saw, and the Imperial Daleks, which are these guys. The Imperial Daleks were loyal to Davros, and the Renegade Daleks were loyal to the Emperor. Kind of feels like it should be the other way around, right? But that was the case. Anyways, what we have here is a Daleks in full white with gold highlights on the base, the spheres, the metal bars, and specifically in Remembrance of the Daleks, the manipulator arm, the weapon, the eye stalk, and even these new designed light bulbs on the top of the dome. So what are you doing there, Soda, with your Batman?
Oh my god.
I wish people could have seen that, but never mind.
I don't know.
What were you doing, Soda?
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm a fidgeter, so I had this random popsicle stick, so I stuck it on the end of a Lego Batman.
No way.
I will say
Holy Lego Batman.
Holy Daleks, Batman! But yeah, these Daleks had I would say an awful voice, but it's a very, you can tell just by watching the episode, it's a very, very, very 80s episode.
I'm not a fan of the color scheme.
Yeah, me neither. And look, you know what? It looks Tim Plastic.
It looks
You
Gucci.
see that about a lot of Daleks. What?
It looks Gucci. Like, it looks like they're mobsters. Like, it looks like Bling Dalek.
If I can say one more thing in their favor, this is where they introduced the idea that the Dalek's weapon actually show the person's skeleton when they hit you. So
okay.
Also, this is actually the first time we actually see levitating Daleks traversing stairs. So they're not fully flying yet, but
their greatest enemy, stairs.
Levitate.
And not anymore.
Elevate.
Coming this summer, the Daleks have finally conquered
their 50. I have one question. These are Imperial Daleks, right?
Correct.
Do they have good aim at least?
Oh my god.
Yes, they do, Ben. They're not like the Imperial Stormtroopers. And as you'll see in the next entry on this list, aim doesn't necessarily matter much most of the time. And
okay,
again,
I'm curious. Bring it on.
Yeah, but first we gotta decide what do we do with these guys. Where do we put them?
Annihilate. For me.
Annihilate?
Yeah.
Well, oops. We have several people not liking the.
I
What are
would
the-
say annihilate over destroy. I don't mind the way they look.
Why would you want to? I'd say annihilate. Put it like in.
Yeah.
I put it like second on annihilate.
I don't like the color scheme, but they don't belong to destroy.
But as they're
Yeah.
Imperial Daleks, I mean, like that. The color itself is meant to look like like what they're supposed to be, like imperialistic.
Imperial Daleks, yeah. So below Dalek Zeg?
Yeah, that's why I would
Okay.
put him.
Now, here is a really, really good design that it boggles my mind that they were able to come up with something this awesome when they did, and they never really used it again. But still part of the Imperial faction, still in remembrance of the Daleks, we have the Special Weapons Dalek.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beast of a Dalek. You can see it's battle worn and it damaged and disheveled. The massive cannon in the center. Yeah. The dome doesn't really look very Dalek-y, but as we see, this Dalek actually made an appearance, well, 2 appearances in the modern era in both Asylum of the Daleks and more notoriously in The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, where we actually see it talk for the first time. And the entire section underneath the dome, going all around the head of the dome, the entire thing lights up. And this is a Dalek weapon of mass destruction. Like, it was, again, we have Daleks versus Daleks in this episode. So you need something that can wipe out whole scores of heavily armored Daleks in one shot. And this Dalek does that. And you need special permission from the leader of the Imperial Daleks to deploy this monster. They don't just use them for anything. So, yeah, I love this design.
So this is the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of Annihilate.
Pretty much, yeah. He's a Terminator Dalek.
I'm putting him in Exterminate.
Oh, for sure.
Badass.
Me
I
too.
put him at the top of Exterminate. Screw that.
Above the Supreme Dalek?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this. I say he does belong at the top of Exterminate, but don't expect him to be there by the end. That's all I'm going to say.
We don't like mood, man.
Now, still in remembrance of the Daleks, because there are plenty of Daleks introduced in this episode, we have the Supreme Dalek of the Renegade Dalek faction, which is this all black and silver area. Now, obviously, there are 2 different versions of the Renegade Supreme Dalek. One was seen in Resurrection of the Daleks, and the other one seen in this episode. But the change is so minimal that I decided to consider this one as the main one. So, yeah, this is how he looks like alongside the other Renegade Daleks. And, yeah, he's not the best, but he basically kind of makes himself look a lot like Davros. Especially in this image with the little girl. But, yeah, what do we think about this guy?
I don't like him.
Yeah.
You don't like him?
He looks too polished.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a Supreme Dalek, so he's not on the battlefield that often.
Yeah, I guess.
Clean shaven.
I'd put him in Annihilate. I wouldn't want to put him in Destroy, but I don't think he's a top tier looking Dalek.
I
IMO.
agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me neither. I think Annihilate's fine, probably in the lower part.
I mean, he's not close to being this masterpiece, but
Really? That's not saying much.
But I mean, he's not terrible. But obviously, we're just judging the design. But
Yeah.
Can I just say something about this little girl here?
Sure.
Because I mean, you think, why would a little girl be standing so close to a Dalek in the middle of a civil war, right? So from the beginning of this episode, we see this little girl following the Doctor and Ace around. We don't hear her speak. We don't know what she's up to. We don't know why she's following them in the middle of a Dalek civil war. And all the while, we see this chair right here that she's sitting on, which is basically a Dalek coordinator, coordinating the Daleks. And it sounds exactly like Davros, but about halfway through the episode, the chair turns around and it's the little girl in the chair coordinating the Daleks. It's
Nice.
one of the better reveals in classic Who. She's saying something. So it's one of my favorite moments from that episode. Just the audible gasp I had when I saw that.
But the Daleks are being controlled by the most evil thing on the world in the planet, a kid. Perfect.
A little girl.
Terrifying.
We said Annihilate, right?
Yeah.
Not just an evil little girl, an evil little British girl.
Ooh.
A schoolgirl.
Oh
The
god,
one-
the horror. The horror.
The horror of the Daleks. So below float flamethrowers, above the Emperor.
Yeah.
Okie dokes. Speaking of emperors, we have the Imperial Daleks Emperor,
The
which
Epcot Center?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the Death Star.
Wow.
Yeah.
Paperweight.
trying very hard to emulate this guy and its
And
design,
succeeding in the worst
but
ways.
but do not be fooled by the exterior because it's actually Davros inside, as seen in this picture right here.
Boo.
It was Davros all along. The front of this thing opens up to reveal that it's actually Davros sitting in his chair, the life support system, it maintains the white and gold color scheme with the new introduced light bulbs, but
The bars underneath in the underneath that round section and with that black eye port there makes them look like the Pringles guy with as a Cyclops.
Nice.
His mustache going around there.
Good.
Cyclops.
You're not wrong.
Pringles, dude.
Yep. Not that far off.
I like it better without the viewport. It looks better when you can see Davros's funny little face in there.
Mm.
Yeah.
As for that design, I would put it way down. But
Yeah,
I actually
me too.
I don't mind it too much without the. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't mind it too much without the white part. When it's
It looks like
just
a
a
salt and
clear
pepper
little
chaser.
bubble, I think I like it a little better. But this one, I was like, ugh, no. Yeah, the salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah.
it's unfortunate I couldn't find a better image here because if you actually look at the proper design, you see that Davros is just covered in a mess
Of wires? Yeah.
wires and cables. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that episode. It looked like he was barely
What?
put together.
even the doctor is disgusted just looking at it. But yeah, so we said down on the list. How far
Yeah.
down?
I would put it at the.
I would say destroy. Don't get it anywhere near.
No. It being destroyed. I'm just trying to figure out where. I would put it at the top of destroy.
You think it's better than those ones? Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it belongs to the top of Destroy.
I like it without the covering. Like when you can see Davros, it's better. I think so. It's
Yeah.
it looks. I don't like the look of it with that viewport and covered in white and the huge mustache going around the thing.
Okay.
I gotta be
I don't
honest.
even
I'm
notice
not
the
seeing a
mustache.
mustache.
It's right where the dome meets the rest of the thing. There's this like little
Yeah,
Like,
or
what
it
is-
looks like he has an overbite or something like that.
yeah.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, we say so.
All right, what's the next one? 50.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So that this was the last of the classic era Daleks. So now it's on to the modern era Daleks, starting us off with what was then later renamed the Time War Daleks. We have the Russell T Davies era modern redesign that actually makes the Daleks look like they're made of metal. Obviously, their nickname for these guys is the Bronze Dalek. We have the bronze looking Dalek with the more metallic looking casings. I love what they did with the dome. The dome got a massive redesign. The Plunger. I love in their debut episode, simply titled Daleks. I love how they finally gave purpose to the Plunger, that it actually can interact with computers and sucks some. When the weapon doesn't work and he just
I know.
sucks
I
the
knew
life
I
out of
was
the
going to go there, but yeah.
But yeah, every single section of this Dalek in that one episode alone has a purpose. Like the midsection turns a full 360 degrees so you can exterminate people from all angles. The entirety of just every single section of this Dalek has a function. And I admire that. I love that they did that for an enemy that's well over 40 years old. So, yeah. I
Now,
love
is this the one? Is this the one that came back to life when Rose puts
Placed your
Yes.
hand on it.
her
Yes.
hand on it?
Yes.
Yeah,
This is the
this
So
one.
this
one-
is the first time I ever saw a Dalek. Was this one like that I paid attention? I'm sure I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been on, but this is the first time I paid attention to an episode with a Dalek. So this is my first real Dalek. So I would go like way at the top of.
Yeah, this is the
Exterminate
top
for
of
me.
Exterminate for me because I still say this is one of the better Dalek episodes of the New Who.
Yeah, and remember, we're counting the Dalek look overall, not just the episode.
Yeah, no, I really
for
enjoyed
sure.
it.
There's a
Everything
reason why
included.
it remains to this day the standard look of the Daleks, even in the Jodie Whittaker era.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the addition of making it look like metal definitely gives it a boost.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
the light bulbs. I love the way the light bulbs look. I love the voice of Nicholas Briggs. So yeah, do we put him above the Supreme Dalek? Definitely above the original design, but above
Oh, yeah.
Supreme. And,
Yeah, you know what?
I really.
I put him at the very top.
really, above the special weapons
Mhm.
Dalek?
I really like that machine gun, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Okay,
too.
I'm actually good right there. I'm cool
Yeah,
right
Yeah,
because
I think
honestly,
that's
this
fun.
Dalek, it made it not only just look just terrifying, but also the fact is when you see this Dalek in that episode Dalek, it's at its low point. You know, it's chained up.
there. Yeah.
It's being
It's relatable.
electrocuted. Yeah. So when Rose does unwittingly just gives presses her hand with the DNA imprint, and the Dalek
Mhm.
through desperation uses it, and we do see it in its full terror. And I love how it's built as this unstoppable tank. And the more Eccleston's doctor is describing it, we see how it's durable, it's almost unstoppable, and the only thing that killed it at the end was itself.
Yeah, and that's another good thing that you actually see the Dalek mutant in the new show.
Mhm.
Like we've seen Dalek mutants in the classic era, but this is our first proper look at what they look like. We've seen like
Yeah.
fleeting moments of them in the classic series. Okay, so next we have from the episode Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, as well as Daleks in Manhattan and the evolution of the Daleks. We have
Wait,
Dalek Zeg.
isn't there a Dalek you're skipping from the other era?
Oh shoot! I can't believe this happened to me again. Okay, you're right. You're right. I will fix that. But for now, I was wondering why the numbers didn't make sense to me on the thing. But yeah, for now, let's talk about Dalek Zeg, leader of the cult of Scarra.
Sure.
It's basically the same Time Lord era design, but in all black. And I really, really, really love the specific color scheme, or rather the shade of black that this Dalek,
It feels like
Dalek
Dalek
Vader.
Dalek Vader.
100%.
Dalek Vader.
Which is fine. That's good. I like this.
I mean, the fact the cult of Scarra, they're meant to be their own, like they're different from the other Daleks because they have personality, and having them all each of a different color is fantastic because then we get to not only recognize them just by color, but we do get to recognize them through interactions. Like it's a real good setup.
I agree.
Looking cool, I would put him in exterminate.
Oh yeah, for sure. Exterminate.
for Dalek Zeg specifically.
Yeah.
And it's also, again, it's another return to form with the Black Dalek being the leader.
Mhm.
Right.
Is it better than the regular design, the standard design?
Please
Oh,
don't think too
I
hard.
think, yeah. I'd say so.
He's definitely more menacing than the one from Dalek.
Okie doke.
Mhm.
And the thing about Dalek Zeg is that he's so good of a character that we actually have him twice here. This time
Yeah.
it's the human version and evolution of the Daleks.
This is probably the scariest a Dalek has ever been to me.
He looks like
Yeah,
Pan's
Human
Labyrinth.
Dalek.
Yeah, it's like it's
I
like
am
face
your
hugger.
future.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of face
You.
hugger.
I think this human is so Dalek. Sorry, that's
He's ugly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
come
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Ben.
what?
What?
on.
Why can't I say that? What?
Well, why are you calling him ugly? I mean, he's a Dalek. He can't help what he looks like.
Oh. Jeez.
And I mean, and again, it's similar to Davros. It's another one of those. Do we put him on the list because he's not pure Dalek, because he's half human? I'd say if we're going a list of Daleks, then what the hell? Why not?
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, you can have Sekon for sure.
Well, it's called the episode is called Evolution of the Daleks, and Dalek Zeg in that episode was trying to think of ways for the Daleks to continue. Sure, his fellow cult of Scarra unfortunately went the other way, but
Mhm.
seeing where he was going, I mean, like you kind of understand why the Daleks killed him, but then at the same time, we're like, I would have actually liked to have seen where Dalek Zeg could have gone.
Mhm.
Me too. I mean, if you were making a list of specifically Dalek individual characters, he would definitely be up there. But as a design, I like the one eye and the jowls and tentacles just keep always moving without him controlling it. So, are we seeing exterminate?
Yeah.
I mean, part of me wants to say annihilate, but if the
I
majority
would-
is for exterminate, go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, I
I would think
can
Annihilate. He was also a one-off character, right? It was just the one episode he was in, if I remember.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
let's,
one
how about
episode.
how about the very, very, very top?
But we're
one?
just going about the aesthetic, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'd still put him in Annihilate.
okay, so
How
annihilate.
about, how about the very, very, very top of Annihilate?
Finally, somebody dethrones Dalek Zeg.
Get out of
Interestingly
here,
enough,
Zeg.
it happens to be Dalek Zeg that does that.
Just when you thought he zigged, he sicked.
Oh, come on. Gee whiz.
Come on, you should have seen that coming a mile away. Okay, so here is the one that I
Cock.
missed, and Ryan was so gracious to remind me
Oh boy.
the Emperor of the Daleks from the Parting of the Ways. This is what an Emperor should
Yeah,
look like.
that looks way better than the other one for
Huge,
sure.
intimidating. I love the voice. I love the panels with the spheres. I love the little glass tank with the Dalek creature inside. I love he has 4
Beauty.
guards flanking him, and then in any given moment to once again cover up for the fact that he doesn't have a gun. But just this thing just looks
Yeah.
amazing. It
Badass.
definitely leaves an impression on you
Yeah.
when you see it for the first time. So much so that we lost Soda. I can see.
No, I'm still here. I just had to turn off my camera for a moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's a much better design than the original ones we saw. I would put this guy 100% in exterminate.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean,
It's
Yes.
pretty cool.
Especially
Oh,
in
shit.
the episode, it's revealed that he took humans from the future Earth and made them into Daleks.
Right.
which is exactly what Davros did in Revelation of the Daleks, but without using the glass tanks.
What are you doing, 50?
I'm adding him to the list because I forgot to put him there.
Oh, gotcha.
Mhm.
Some beat. There we go.
Good thing you guys are good at computer stuff. I would have zero clue how to do any
Actually,
of
I
this
just
stuff.
learned that today. I kept redoing them every time I screwed up.
Do we
Would
put
you
him
go
above
that
the-
high? I would no.
No.
I like Machine Gun Buddy.
Well, not that high. I mean,
No,
come on.
I would put him. I would put him right above the original.
Yeah.
in between
Yeah.
Dalek?
Nope, keep
No,
going
no,
down.
no. The original from the
The
first
original, the very first.
Oh, the original. The
Yeah,
original.
right.
The original, you might say. Sorry, my bad.
No, it's okay.
I think that's a good spot for him.
Mhm.
Okie dokes. Now back up the list. Okay, we talked about this guy long enough in the classic era, so now it's time for our very first modern look at the Supreme Dalek from the episodes The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, who also
Yeah.
and he also reappeared again in The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar.
Now
I love-
that looks like Iron Man.
That looked like a Supreme Dalek if I've ever seen
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Mostly inspired by Dalek Zeg, which you've already mentioned before. And I love that they made the middle section much taller with these 3 striking things. It's got like 3 light bulbs on his dome, and every single one of those light bulbs is on the top of a plinth in and of itself. I love the voice that Nicholas Briggs gives to this character, and I just love how stationary he is. You know, again, a Supreme Dalek commanding his forces, not really moving too much unless he has to. And again, it's another one of those Dalek, a Dalek that other Daleks fear. So
Yeah.
I like him. I think it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I mean, part of me wishes he had more to do in the episodes, but even then, still seeing how intimidating he was. I mean, it's a good design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
So
saying annihilate, exterminate. Sorry,
Sure.
but
Make a little
where
bit.
it exterminate? I definitely above the underlings. I'm not sure I'd put him above the special weapons Dalek. So here,
So you think up there?
I think it works fine.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have the first Daleks in the Matt Smith era in the form of the Ironside Daleks.
This,
The
Oh,
British
you
Royal
like
Navy
some
Daleks.
tea?
so
Yeah.
this was my
You care
first
for
Dalek.
something. Fun fact,
I am your soldier.
soldier. But fun fact, in the original concept design, the Dalek with the T was originally supposed to have an apron around the midsection, but they felt it was too on the nose, so they
Yeah.
removed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the Time War Daleks, the bronze color Dalek, just painted to look like military green. And I love the
Oh, yeah.
vest on the midsection, that makes it look like a soldier. I love the Union Jack underneath the eye stalk.
Yeah.
And
I like how he
another
has
thing I
pouches
appreciate-
for other people, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, and another thing I appreciate is they put these pockets on the light bulbs, so that no one would see the light flickering when it speaks, to make it look like an actual camouflaging soldier tank thing. The
Well,
Daleks are meant to be
the
tanks,
period.
and this is
So this was my first Dalek.
Okay.
really.
This was the
Oh.
first one I saw. So for me, this is going to be definitely high up.
Yeah.
Not just
Oh,
for that, but also for everything that 50 said. I think it's belongs at the top of exterminate. Exterminate.
Oh, it's
I think
exterminate
it-
for sure. Oh yeah.
I think I
You
put him
need
better
a
than
bigger exterminate.
the other ones. I don't think he tops the Supreme.
No.
Anyone else?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there's a good spot.
Unfortunately, we have to go from one of the best designs of the Daleks to one of the worst designs of the Daleks. The new Paradigm Daleks. These abominations are basically the new. It's supposed to be a dramatic redesign that Stephen Moffat decided to implement into the show. People were saying that they were getting tired of the old design, so this was a major overhaul. making the Daleks much larger with the taller base, the more plasticky look, a ridiculous look for the midsection with the. I suppose that going back to the original
original
design
style, yeah.
with midsection, but what the hell is going on with the vents? And the dome looks different. The light bulbs are much bigger. The eye stalk is way too over designed, and a really scary voice. One thing I will say in these guys' favor is that they not only that they come in multiple colors, but this time every single color has a meaning to it. Obviously, the white one is the new Dalek Supreme because white supremacists and all that.
Wow.
The blue one is the strategist. The blue one is the strategist. The orange is the scientist. The yellow one is the eternal, and the red one is the drone. So yeah, they did think.
Wait, the yellow one. The yellow one. Are you telling me the yellow one can not only birth the idea of the script, but it wrote the Eternal movie because it's Eternal?
Yes, that's exactly what the Dalek Eternal does.
Huh.
Apparently.
It needs to rewrite its strategy because Eternals was kind of a snooze fest.
Oh boy.
No, the strategist is the blue one.
I'm sorry. I'm just like it was there.
Oh, brother.
So the original idea was that Stephen Moffat felt like Daleks that were shorter than the main characters wasn't very intimidating, so that's why he made them so big. But just execution versus concept, yeah, I don't like these. I do not. I mean, I've grown to like them over time, but just living in that era of Doctor Who and just the memes that came out about these guys, the comparison to the Teletubbies, and like you said, the Power Rangers. Like I couldn't look at cars that were colored in the specific color of these Daleks. Whenever I saw an orangey silver car or a white car or a red car or a blue one or a yellow one, that's really the first thing that came to mind was these Daleks during that particular year in high school for me. And just, I don't know. I mean, they were originally supposed to be the standard design going forward, but because of the backlash, I guess, Stephen Moffat decided to X these guys, nip it in the bud. We only saw one of them once. Well, we saw them in the season finale. We saw one of them once in a cameo in the Husbands of Rivers. Sorry, in the Wedding of Rivers song, and then
they did pop up like the Pandora opens.
Yeah, and the Pandora opens and the Big Bang, and we also saw them again in Asylum of the Daleks. But they were really mostly in the background, and it's like Stephen Moffat very quietly shoved these guys under the rug and ignored they ever existing. So.
Yeah.
But they're not as bad as some.
Go Dalek.
Yeah, I would put them on
Go Dalek.
I don't know.
So are they at least better than the Emperor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than the Emperor. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's not much to them. Now, I kind of tangentially decided to put this in here, but we have basically the same design, but as the stone fossil that chased the Doctor in the museum. Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same horrible design, but at least it has purpose now, and I like the stone Dalek idea, but not much to it beyond that.
Meh.
Yeah,
Right next to the other one,
Yeah.
I'd say above its counterparts because it actually looks really cool. And continuing this trend of the downward spiral, we have the Dalek Prime Minister from Asylum of the Daleks, which is basically just the Dalek mutant inside a glass tank
Jar.
Well,
that's also in the story.
this is how the full thing looks like. Doesn't really look much like a Dalek aside from the mutant inside it, but
and the bulbs,
and the balls and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, this is around fortunately where Moffat. This is part like in the series of Moffat's control where he just was trying to create new designs, and I get it, but it was just kind of like he kept expanding too much, where it's just more keep some creatures and species need to be simple. Like his story on the Angels were great when Russell T Davies was in charge, but then when he took control, he expanded it too much to where he's kind of removing the terror of the Weeping Angels, and he's kind of almost doing the same thing here, because this is also within the series where he introduces to where the Daleks can infect humans and make them a part of their own, army. Where the humans have like eye stalks coming out of their heads.
Well,
Right.
to be fair, that idea was kind of introduced in the classic series. Not the eye stalk coming out of the brain, but the idea of the Daleks using human agents as, servants. But
yeah, but you can see how ridiculous it is even now in this one. It's reintroduced in this series, because I understand it worked a little bit in the Doctor's in Matt Smith's last episode, but even then it's just kind of a race of pure Daleks that are about racial purity. Why would they consider doing something like that if they're not going to dispose of them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were planning on disposing them. They just used humans because they needed someone with with hands and fingers to do stuff that the Daleks couldn't do.
Fingers, fingers, and all kind of things that we all like to use as fingers. Maybe that's.
So bottom, very bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems more lazy in that point. Like kind of. Not much wow, just more.
Okay, now we're taking another break from the show because this was around the time of the 50th anniversary special, where they really started to expand on the Time War lore. So we have a couple of Time War specific Daleks, but the main problem with the Time War era Daleks is a lot of them you can't really find good images of them. Official ones, that is. But I did, however, manage to snag this image of probably the most infamous Dalek ever, the Nightmare Child.
Stories like that.
Conceived by Davros to be the most perfect Dalek ever, a Dalek with the ability to think on its own and evolve and adapt to its situation. And eventually, obviously, if you know the stories, it gained another god complex, believed himself to be the best Dalek in the universe, and tried to destroy Davros and the other Daleks, thinking that no other Dalek should ever exist except for him. But yeah, this is the only official image of this that you can find. Any other image you search online is just fan art. However, I do enjoy this fan art in particular. Where it looks like it's
that looks like something I come across in a VR headset.
Yep. I could just hear the Google screams.
And it's from one of the better Doctor Who fan films, The Dalek That Time Forgot, which is one of the best Dalek stories that doesn't happen to be part of the show. But what do we think about the perfect Dalek, the Nightmare Child?
But is it canon? Because we haven't seen it.
The Nightmare Child is mentioned in the End of Time, but we don't see it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, this is the only official look at it. Like a lot of concepts from the Time War, you'll be hard pressed to find official looks for them.
Yeah.
And this is, I believe, the only canonized look of this Dalek.
It doesn't look very Dalek-y to me.
Well,
because that's part of the idea. And that's kind of the point.
I guess I think the fact that there's just so little about it, I would just put it in Destroy because there's just not much. I mean, with most of the other ones, at least there's enough material around, especially for the Dalek Emperor we have in Destroy, where we can find maybe the comic series or the animation it was on. This one, I mean, fan art and fan film, yes, but not something too close to the like what BBC would actually want to put out.
Yeah, and just conceptually, it's a hard thing to put on television.
I wouldn't put it too low on Destroyed, though, personally.
Above the new Paradigm Daleks?
I'd honestly put it above. I personally would put it above the new Paradigm Daleks.
Okay.
Yeah, right there's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now here is one that looks so good that I've uploaded multiple pictures of it. We have the Dalek time controller from the War Doctor stories and a lot of other Time War era stories. I just love the blue color with these golden rings around the midsection, and there's like almost a time vortex in the the vent area, just like the Supreme Dalek. He's got these three light bulbs all over the dome. They're on plinths in and of themselves. Here's another good look at it. I like the voice. I like the gold in the midsection.
It's almost a throwback to the 70s style on that last picture, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kinda. This is another really good one, which also happens to feature the birthday girl herself, Louise Jameson, in the background.
Oh,
Cool.
But
all
yeah,
getting tied together.
just weird.
I like it.
I love this.
I do too. So is it going to be an exterminate?
I would put. I mean, I don't know. I mean, something about it. I like its design. I like how it stands out. Although a part of me wants to put in Annihilate.
Really?
That's
I mean-
me, okay? Like,
I was sure this guy was going to dethrone the special weapons Dalek.
Whoa. No, I wouldn't do
No.
that.
No.
Wow.
I think more it's just that it might be canon and stuff like that, but it's not corporeal. You know what I mean? There's no. It's a drawing, like it's art, but it isn't like an actual moving thing. So I don't know where. I think that's where I'd put my bias at, and then I would have it in Annihilate.
So we have 2 Annihilates and 3 Exterminates. I would personally put it above the original and below the Emperor.
But because it's so close, in fairness, I would put it at the bottom of Exterminate.
The very bottom, even below the Dalek?
The very bottom, yeah. Just because we did have 2 Annihilate, 3 Exterminate. It was pretty quick, so it's a compromise.
Okay. So now, there were a bunch of Dalek designs introduced in my personal favorite novel from Doctor Who, Engines of War, starting with the Scarra Degradations. Now, a little bit of lore. The Time Lords sort of went back and tried and change the Daleks' evolution to make them less aggressive. They failed, but it gave the Daleks ideas to experiment on their own selves, to try to come up with new and more deadly Daleks, creating the Scarra Degradations. We only see, or rather, are described 2 of them in the book, but again, just like with the Nightmare Child, it is excruciatingly difficult to find official images for, so this fan art would have to do. First of which is the gliders. It's basically the Dalek mutant inside the glass tank with the panels around it. 2 weapons at the bottom, and it's constantly levitating. It's always flying, and the dome right above it, we see right here. It's not a fan art, but I mean, you basically get the idea. They're always flying. They have 2 weapons, but they're very, very vulnerable. They're very, very exposed because of the case. They're less tanky than normal.
I'll say one thing: that first drawing is way better.
Yeah. That's what, yeah.
yeah, pretty much. It's meant to almost kind of look like the Dalek Emperor from the other show, from Parting of the Ways. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what gives it the edge. This thing it's a pixel art.
Looks like Atari.
I say exterminate.
Oh, really? That's higher than I thought.
Yeah, I would say Annihilate.
Yeah, me too.
With Annihilate too.
I was thinking Annihilate, but kind of like in top tier Annihilate.
Sure.
Okay.
Above Dalek Zeg or Dalek Zeg?
I put him under Dalek Zeg. Dalek Zeg.
Yeah, I put him above the Imperial ones as well.
Sure.
Oops, sorry.
Don't worry, it's all good.
Yeah.
So the other Scarra Degradation we're being introduced to in this book is called the Dalek Spider, an egg-shaped Dalek with 3 spider legs, 4 weapons in the midsection, and the traditional Dalek dome, light bulbs, and spheres, pretty much in the exact same place you would expect to find them. This is a very tanky Dalek. It sacrifices speed for firepower and bulkiness, and I just love the design. And I love the voice in the audio version of the book. But just looking at this thing, it definitely looks like an abomination that wasn't meant to exist. And that's why I love it so much.
Another thing for me.
It looked like one of those droid. What are they called? Droidicars.
Droidicas. Yeah. It's basically it's a Dalek droidica. It's a Dalek walking tank, and I love it.
Honestly, it just looks like someone took the spider droids from Star Wars and just put and gave it and put a Dalek on it.
Yeah. And again, this is just
it's still a good kind of like no, not the spider. No, the Reaper, the Reaper drones in the Mass Effect games. That's what this reminds me of. The Harvesters, yes. The Harvesters are pretty much a combination of Reaper technology with the Rachni. So, but that's what this
works.
I never played the game.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys, for trying to throw some more science fiction here.
Oh, wow.
Well, appreciate
Ryan,
it.
on the attack. I mean, Stephen Grant, on the attack. Or is this Mark? This is probably Mark. The way he's talking is Mark.
So, I'm saying exterminate, but not too high. What about you, Peeps?
The same.
Yeah, I'm happy with the other half of exterminate.
I put him by the 3 skulls of Tagunda Daleks and Exterminate.
The what?
Sorry, that's a reference to the Phantom, the gold, silver, and jade Daleks.
I dig it.
So like below Davros then?
Yeah. Actually above Davros.
Yeah, even above Davros.
Wow.
Fuck Davros. I'm just
kidding. Yeah. Fuck him.
Okay. Again, also from the book, we have the Eternity Circle Daleks. They're basically the ones controlling all the Dalek operations in the Tantalus Spiral, and in the book they are being described as being with this silvery white color and bright blue, TARDIS blue. And I just think this color scheme really works well for Daleks. And again, this is just fan art, but it would be nice to see this thing in live action at one point.
It is very TARDIS-y, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Makes
like
the doctor think twice where he wants to park the
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Any ideas on where to place it?
I wouldn't put it in Exterminate, but I would put it in Annihilate, even closer to the top.
For me,
it's getting a lot more closer to some of the other Daleks. I would put it in Annihilate.
Yeah, and plus also that it's just a fan art.
Yeah, but it's a fan art that's very close.
Oh, it's very good fan art. Very good. It looks convincing.
Definitely above the gliders, but below the named Dalek Zeg, Dalek Zeg. Okay, final one from the book and final one from the Time War for now. We have the Predator Dalek. Again, it's just fan art, but it's basically what it's described. It's a Dalek that's slightly bigger than regular, and the whole idea was the Daleks planned to have the War Doctor basically put inside a large Dalek casing and control their war effort to win the war against Gallifrey. They were going to coerce the Doctor to command Dalek forces from inside this large Dalek casing, which is slightly bigger than the average Dalek, and mostly painted red and black.
It's bigger on the inside.
Bigger, but not on the inside.
Oh boy.
Dirty.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Dalek.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I like the concept
clause
of this
for me.
Dalek, where the Daleks wanted to put the War Doctor inside it. I don't know. I mean, because this is just a simple fan art from what we're looking at, or computer generated fan art, I'd throw it in Annihilate.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But I wouldn't put it that much high. Probably above the Renegade, the Supreme Dalek.
Yeah, why not? Or maybe below the Renegade Supreme. You know,
Below. Anyone else in
Maybe.
agreement with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, 50?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to get going. And
All right.
I have stuff to do. I'm really sorry, man.
It's okay. If you got stuff to do, then it's perfectly all right. It's very understandable.
can't control it.
Thank you for joining us, Ben, for as long as you have.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 50 and Soda.
Right, see you
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.
See you, man.
Later.
See you
See you
Sunday.
Bye. Yep, Sunday.
It's it's a shame
Sunday.
it's a shame that we lost
Ah.
Ben just now. Oh, you're still here, Ben?
I'm leaving.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
It's a shame. But then it's a shame we lost Ben just now because we're finally back to the show with Rusty, the friendly Dalek from the Capaldi
God.
era, which was introduced into the Dalek. It was
the hero Dalek.
and it was reused in Peter Capaldi's final episode, Twice Upon a Time. I just love the weathered, broken down, destroyed look. I love what that some of the spheres are missing. I think he has a different weapon and just like the wires everywhere. And just again, we're judging it based on the design, not the story, but story-wise, one of the better Daleks. And just I love the battle-hardened look of this Dalek. And
Yeah. He's one of the most unique Daleks for sure.
Yeah, just for everything, including his story, he's got to be an exterminator.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But not too high up. Definitely, I mean, since we put the Supreme Dalek as low as we did, I'd put him above it. But is it better than the standard Dalek?
It's so different because it's friendly. It should be higher up because it made us
More
like
than-
Dalek.
Yeah. Okay, so more than the British military ones?
I put a note right where you have them is I think good.
Oh, really? Wow. I was maybe gonna put him like behind the Dalek from Dalek episode. That's
Okay, so how about a compromise between it and
I'm not
Dalek Zeg?
disagreeing with it. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just more like
Okay. So putting it back here. Now we have the Jodie Whittaker reconnaissance Dalek, which was basically a Dalek that rebuilt itself. from
Oh,
scrap
I
metal.
forgot about that Dalek.
And
That is
in
such a
the
weird
Sheffield
looking
Works,
Dalek.
which is also
Oh,
where
the Sheffield.
Jodie made, which is also where Jodie made her sonic screwdriver in the show. This is I just love
this
the
was
metallic
special, right? The New Year.
The what?
The New Year episode,
the
right?
New Year's special. Yeah,
Yes.
I
Okay.
love
Yeah. I
how-
forgot about that. Yeah.
I love how this Dalek is meant to look like it was clumsily built together from scrap metal, and even Jodie says that he built himself from memory. And I love the light bulbs. I love how the dome area also lights up when he talks. I just love the really scrappy look. I love the eye stalk, the manipulator arm that's basically like a claw that can become the plunger-like appendage. I love that it's got missiles in the sphere area. Some people complained that he only has 3 spheres as opposed to the usual 4. I don't see that big of an issue, And also, according to what I hope is official art, this is more or less, aside from the scrappy look, this is more or less what a reconnaissance Dalek is supposed to look like, with the 3 spheres and the thinner midsection and the exposed dome. So yeah, it's a really good redesign. So yeah, this is how you do a redesign as opposed to these. And I love that they basically kept these as just one-off for specific story-related reasons. So
Yeah.
I think it deserves an exterminate, but not too high.
It feels like Batman. It really does. All these gadgets.
Spoiler, but
What?
well, okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But we're replacing this guy.
Annihilate. I put him honestly.
Oh, really? You put him in Annihilate? Huh.
The fact I forgot about this Dalek mean it didn't make that much of an impression.
Wow. Well, you do have a point, which I can't argue with. So
That's my opinion. I don't know where everyone else is going to
no, it's a good point. But
Hmm.
I guess if it's not unanimous, we can put it in S tier. So Snark, you're the tiebreaker.
I'd put it at the top of Annihilate.
Yeah.
Above
I think
Daleks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the color of it is very similar to the color from the Dalek from Dalek as well. Yeah, I think it looks good. I just wouldn't put it quite in that top tier.
Okay.
But doesn't mean that it doesn't look good. I think it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Mine is
Soda,
good.
you mentioned Batman, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Well, also in the Jodie Whittaker era, we have these Daleks, which were basically rehashes of this, but this time in the form of police riot control drones for
I think Revolution of the
fundamental
Daleks.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Revolution of the Daleks. Eventually, they broke off from that and they developed minds of their own and became the proper Daleks. But it's basically this design if it was made by a professional designer, and they made that part of the story. They actually 3D printed these Daleks in the episode itself. And I love how
because this was just a plot because I forgot Chris Noth's character, but he wanted to take the outside design of the Daleks and make them
Jack Robertson.
That guy. They wanted to take that design and create it into drones, but one of the scientists unfortunately cloned a Dalek, and unfortunately the madness happened where the Dalek psychically was able to make more, and then through technology implanted them inside these drones to where they became Daleks. But then later on, Jodie's doctor brings actual Daleks to where they just, once again, because they're Nazi propaganda, kill them because of racial purity. So,
and also these Daleks come in 2 distinct colors. This is what they look like when they were supposedly loyal to the police, and this is where all hell broke loose and they became actual Daleks, and with the red coloration. And it's another visual cue that lets us know the difference between when these Daleks are supposedly good and when they went back to being actual Daleks, which helps a lot with the design. So
Is that the first time
if
you
you
see
put
them
the
with
other
the
one
red
in-
eyepiece too?
What?
Is that the first time we see them with red eyepieces?
in
usually
the show,
blue
it
yes.
looks
or
like the
white.
red color
Yeah.
in the stock. Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
them
The
look
show,
like
yes.
Sith.
Actually, yeah. Sith Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say HAL 9000 Daleks.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's another good one. But yeah, so we put this guy in Annihilate. I would say these guys look better because they
they're
expanded
upgraded.
on the
Oh, for
design.
sure.
Yeah, they're definitely a better looking version, without a doubt.
Yeah, this is Exterminate, I think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say top of Annihilate, but yeah, Exterminate works fine. Is it better than the Time Controller?
Um,
I mean, it does have that cool Sith look. like an Inquisitor.
Okay.
I
Below the spiders?
I put it below Davros.
Okay.
Right there. That's a good spot.
So that's it for all the Daleks from the show. Now let's just have fun with some miscellaneous Daleks, because why the hell not? Starting with this Dalek Sorcerer Commander from the Doctor Who comics in the 80s. Now, originally this was colored, but I couldn't find the color version of the comic book panel. But yeah, this Dalek basically is stationary, connected through wires to all the Dalek saucers and commanding them through there. I believe the color was black and yellow, or black or gold, dark blue and gold, or something like that. But yeah, I wish I could have found the proper color. But yeah, what do we say about this guy?
Destroy.
Yeah, destroy.
Yeah, not too special.
Nope.
No.
But he's not bad either.
Destroy.
So I would probably put him right below either the Exelon Daleks or the Invasion of Earth Daleks.
I put it right there. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Next, we have probably the most evil Dalek in existence,
Oh, boy.
Dalek X, also known as the Dalek Inquisitor General. The one again, a
Jeez.
Dalek that other Daleks fear, second only to the Supreme Dalek, and even the Supreme Daleks sometimes fear this guy. It's from a David Tennant book, I believe, called Prisoner of the Daleks. And just what I love about this guy is that by the time they called they caught the Doctor, they were like, the Dalek Inquisitor General is coming here personally, and he's like, oh, come on, don't I at least deserve the Supreme Dalek? What's this Dalek Inquisitor General? And all the Daleks just pause, and they tell him, when the Dalek Inquisitor General is finished with you, you wish the Supreme Dalek was here. And then when even again, Dalek X is a name that the humans gave him because they fear him so much, and the Daleks know that the humans are so afraid of him that they adopted the name Dalek X to incite fear in the hearts of humans all throughout the universe. And even when Dalek X shows up, it's like the Doctor already knows that they're connecting him to a mind probe to rip apart his brain. The Doctor's prepared for that, but then when Dalek X shows up, he's like, Doctor, I'm going to test your resistance to physical pain. And the Doctor's like, why would you do that? Because I wish to do so. So I love Dalek X, and design-wise, really great. Story-wise, so good. He's sort of taking inspiration from the Supreme Dalek, which we talked about earlier, the classic era Supreme Dalek, but just, I love the fork-ish manipulator arm.
It just looks evil.
Yeah, he looks evil all the way around, and just, I love it.
For that and the fact that he's got the official colors of Rocky, I will put him in Exterminate.
I'm fine with Exterminate. I wouldn't have him near the top of Exterminate, but I'd have him in Exterminate.
Maybe somewhere in the middle of Exterminate.
Above the Emperor? Or below the Emperor? All right.
We'll go below, just because it's so early from the book.
Yeah, and again, this is just fan art.
Yep.
Now, speaking of expanded media Daleks, this is one of the most obscure versions of the Dalek ever. We have Quasimodo Dalek.
What?
So,
I
are
don't get
any of you familiar with the
Two
Bone
eye
Wars?
things
By
and
any
one-
chance?
No.
it. The what?
The Bone Wars.
No, never
Have you
heard of it.
Okay, so basically in the late 1800s, rich white guys paid pseudo-archaeologists and pseudo-paleontologists to find dinosaur bones for them so they can display them in their galleries. And because they were on a tight schedule, they took whatever bones they found, sloppily put them together, and called it a new species. And that's why so many of the early information about dinosaurs is wildly incorrect from what we know dinosaurs to be right now. So in the comics, they basically did the same thing for a Dalek. And actually, I'll just find pieces of a Dalek and clumsily put them together like this. And the 11th Doctor called it Quasimodo Dalek because of what he looks like.
That's pretty fucking funny.
It's so stupid. I love it. What are we doing with this guy?
Exterminate.
Really?
Yeah. Why the hell not?
No,
Quasimodo. Why not?
Quasimodo. And because it happened in France, 18th century France, that's where the name Quasimodo Dalek came from.
Wow.
Where exterminate are we putting it?
Oh God, it's got to be the bottom of exterminate.
Yeah, be very bottom.
Like it's barely cracking the lid.
Yeah.
It's crappy because it's meant to be crappy, and I love it. Okay, so also in the very same comic book that this was introduced, which is called the Dalek Project, we were introduced to 2 other warring factions of Daleks. Now, did you think that the British military Daleks looked cool?
Yeah.
Well, how about German military Daleks?
Oh my God.
Destroy.
Joe.
Destroy.
Destroy.
I love
Now
that.
they're going too literal with it. They're getting too literal with that.
Destroy.
That's why it's in comic book form, not the actual show. I just love the concept, but I don't know if you're saying destroy.
Destroy.
Destroy. Yeah.
Wow, you guys really hate it, don't you?
Wow. It's German. Like it's meant to be.
Yeah, but they're Daleks. They're inspired by Nazis.
I know.
It's
too on the nose.
Yeah.
Okay. So, or rather, 2 on the eye stalk. So where we put? They're definitely better than the Emperor. Probably better than the new Paradigm Daleks.
Yeah. Well, right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Also, in that same story, they had British military Daleks as well, that looked like tanks. And I love the tanky look of the base of the machine. And I love the new eye stalk, the weapon. Yeah.
And that just doesn't look like there's anything special about it.
So
we'll put it right next to their German counterparts.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like the iron sides look much better compared to those.
Oh, for sure. And they had more characters to them. Now, speaking of the iron sides, I forgot that they were called iron sides when I was looking for pictures. So I just looked online, British Daleks, and this is what I found.
I would go for exterminate.
Oh my
really?
God.
It's a custom-made figure, I guess to celebrate New Year's or something, but yeah, it's a Dalek with the Union Jack on it.
That's
I
really
like it.
weird.
I like it.
I like it too. I wouldn't say exterminate, but I like it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
God, no.
What's the YouTube?
That's an annihilate.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing to annihilate as well. I mean, it's a funny design, but it's obviously looked like it was a fan design, just more of.
It looks like if Austin Powers owned a Dalek, that's what it would look like.
Now I'm really sad that Ben isn't here. Okay, annihilate, close to the Eternity Circle Daleks, above the gliders.
Right there, be fine, I guess.
I don't know. I put them behind the Imperial Daleks. Honestly.
Wow, that low. Between the Flamethrower Daleks and the Imperial Daleks.
That's where I would put them.
Okay. Now this is another miscellaneous Dalek from the very, very early days of Daleks. Dalek lore, I should say. Swamp Daleks. Again, this is from the early days of Dalek being... Yeah, it doesn't really look much like a Dalek.
Destroy.
I destroyed as well.
Destroy.
Yeah.
See, it looks like it's a dinosaur that's almost about to rip its legs off.
Yeah.
It looks like the thing that landed on the moon.
True, it does.
The eagle has landed. The Dalek has landed.
The Dalek has landed. Is it worse than the Prime Minister Dalek?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually,
was
no, I put it above it just because it kind of still has a little bit of resemblance to a Dalek.
so below the glass Dalek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. At least the glass Dalek looks like a Dalek.
Okay, this Dalek design, I've searched far and wide, hoping that it's official, that it's canon, that it's not just someone messing around, but it's this weird sci-fi thing, which I believe I heard someone mention it's from the Dark Dimension storyline, but I couldn't find any proper.
It looks like if Blade Runner did a Dalek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. That's why I
don't
decided
know
to
if I'm
put
a
it
big fan of
here
this.
by
Weird.
default.
That's weird.
It kind of looks like a Cylon, a little bit.
Kind of.
It
Maybe.
looks very saucery.
Has the
It's a
two of
very
the same
sci-
guns.
Yeah, I'm not hearing a lot of excitement from you guys, so I'm guessing.
I don't think destroy. I appreciate it. I like the little base for it and stuff
This-
too.
Yeah,
But
I'm just
I would
trying.
have it in Annihilate, but maybe towards the bottom of Annihilate for me.
Is
Yeah.
it below the 20th anniversary Dalek?
Yeah, it's got
Yeah,
that
I
cool.
would.
It's got that cool
Yeah.
look, but yeah, but everything's good.
Now, speaking of cool, this is an official one from Big Finish, a story I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, but I
Oh.
can't wait to get to. It's called Order of the Daleks, and it features this church stained glass window Dalek that just looks amazing. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I gotta put it on the list. This looks
That's your buddy
incredible.
with the your buddy with the little trident hand there again.
Yeah.
It was pretty
I
much
mean,
the
I don't know if
Daleks
it's
are
a
going to
real
start their
Dalek
own
or just a
religion.
Dalek statue.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. The cult of Scarra. Wait,
Oh my god.
Oh, bro.
I like that.
I think this looks amazing as a sort of gothic church design.
Mm-hmm.
Dalek.
It's definitely a garden ornament.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. I wish there was a real physical thing that you can buy of this Dalek, because this looks
Even-
amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you could get one custom made. It wouldn't be cheap. But I'm sure you
No.
could.
No, I meant mass produced.
I don't know.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand if the story's going to pay off that design, hopefully it's going to work. But for right now, it kind of looks like fan art. And was that trident instead of a egg beater?
That's the same one as that other one from a few ago.
Yeah. From Dalek X.
X, right. The
This guy.
Inquisitor. Yes.
Oh man.
It looks like that guy's supposed to be like the good guy as compared to the other guy. It's supposed to be the bad guy.
Mhm.
So I thought it was going to dethrone the special weapons Dalek, but I guess
No,
not.
it's not.
No, I don't think it. No.
It's definitely an exterminate level design.
Yeah,
I would even
but-
go so far as to say it's above the Supreme Dalek.
What, really?
You don't think so?
I mean, yeah, I guess we're going off. Yeah, if we're just going off its looks alone, I agree with that. Yeah.
In this one, I don't have story context to base it on, so it's just basically the looks.
Yeah.
Here or here.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be real tough to beat out Machine Gun Guy.
Yeah, same here.
Machine
Well,
guy.
That's a machine gun, but it's a freaking tank.
Yeah, tank guy.
Okay, so we'll leave it there.
Sure.
Okay, next, from the animated show we talked about last week, we have the Dalek Prime Strategist. It's basically the original design from the first episode, but battle-hardened, rusty, it's falling apart. The eye stalk is sort of shattered a little bit. It's got a very sneaky voice, very almost like Gollum. It's like Gollum in Dalek form. And this is him alongside the Emperor from that series as well. But just yeah, it's the Dalek strategist. What do we think of the Dalek strategist?
I would annihilate him.
Hmm.
I do like the weather beaten look.
Me too.
I just don't
It helps
see.
distinguish him from other Daleks.
Yeah.
So we're saying annihilate,
I think so.
Yeah.
but I wouldn't put him too high on annihilate.
No.
I'd say he's better than the Renegade Supreme.
Yeah, you're putting. That's where I was thinking of putting him.
But not better than the Flamethrower Daleks.
No way.
No.
Okay, so speaking of the Time Lord Victorious storyline, have Dalek Executioners, or Executioner Daleks, depending on how you like call it. Yeah, they only appear in Big Finish stuff, and I believe the comics, and actually, I think some of them do appear in the animated show that I talked about. But yeah, we see them here with the red eye stalk, mostly blackish design, black and silver. I love this, the red highlights. Here's, and I love the manipulator arm look.
I like the silver and black with the red outline
Mhm.
for the orbs there.
Hey Ryan, here's one for you. It kind of looks like something out of Ring of Honor with the color scheme.
Yeah, especially the what
I-
championship belts are.
I would actually put this one as an exterminate level.
Yeah, that's pretty cool
Really?
looking.
I like it.
It is. It's a very simplistic design. Also, it's
Yeah.
like a very warlike fashion. So yeah, exterminate.
Looks like a Dalek that's into
The
S&M.
manipulator arm is kind of unique as well, just the way it is. It's almost like a cross between the little trident guy and a claw. I like it.
And the thing about these guys, they're so bloodthirsty and
Oh, even better.
obsessed with killing that they sometimes would disobey direct orders from the Supreme Dalek or even the Emperor himself just to satisfy their bloodlust. Even if
me of
they
my
were
mom.
ordered to retreat, and even if they had no chance of survival, they would go after their prey and kill it immediately. But yeah, where are we putting these guys?
I would go even higher. I put him maybe above Davros.
Ooh, above
Yeah.
Davros,
I was
Below
actually
the
thinking
spider?
I was thinking one more.
above the spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
there are a
that's
lot of
good
S tiers.
spot.
I'm just noticing. Yeah, and also
There's a lot of Daleks.
We like Daleks.
Also, slight side note: the Executioner Daleks did actually make their live-action debut, except they look like these from the Eve of the Daleks episode. They were called Executioner Daleks, and really the only executionary thing about them was this Gatling gun
Gatling
weapon.
gun. Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool, but I mean, this is way cooler.
Yeah,
so,
I like that
you know,
better.
I prefer these Executioner Daleks.
A part of me feels like there's a show Dalek that's missing.
Which one?
I don't know. It's just for some reason I'm thinking back to maybe the Smith era. Like there was a Dalek in there that's missed, or maybe Capaldi.
No, we covered. There wasn't. I mean, the thing about the Smith era is you kind of know which versions of the Daleks were there, for better or for worse.
Oh wait, I think there's one Dalek I know, but you wouldn't like it
Which one is it?
because it has to dip into your worst character of all time.
I mean, I know
the
what you're
one that
talking
she's
about.
inside?
It's not.
Huh?
Yeah, but I mean, I knew someone was going to bring that up, but I mean, it's not too different from any other Dalek. That's why I didn't put it on the list. I mean, again, if you were counting these as Dalek characters, she would be here. But since it's just the design, I mean, it's basically the same design as the standard ones, just
Right.
changed. So, I mean, it's unlike Rusty, which actually does look different. That wasn't that different. That's why it's not on the list.
Very good.
But sticking in the Time Lord Victoria storyline, you have the Overseer Daleks from
Oh boy.
the episode Planet of the Oberons.
This guy seems a little busy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it kind of
It's
reminds
That
like
me.
looks like a
General
Dalek
Grievous of
that's
Daleks.
operating tables.
It's the General Grievous of Daleks.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say like
it
that
kind of.
medical droid.
Yeah, it reminded me of the guy from Book of Boba Fett. Almost said Book of Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett, the guy that modifies people.
Oh,
Oh,
right, right.
That's what he reminds me.
the droid doc, the droid doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he's got the red eye stalk, so that's pretty cool.
yeah.
I think.
Mhm.
4 arms. It looks like 4 arms.
So, based on your responses, I'm guessing Annihilate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't put him in destroy, but yeah.
I would definitely put him above the Union Jack Dalek.
No.
Yeah,
About
seems like a
this
perfect
guy.
fit for him.
Oh,
Okay.
behave. Oh, behave.
Okay. So next, also from Time Lord Victorious, we have Dalek Time Squad Scientist, which that's not a very good picture, so I went with this one.
Is that like a legit toy there, that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's custom made, but it
Yeah.
is a legit toy, and this is a better look at them in story.
The manipulator arm, different for sure.
It's very similar to the Jodie Whittaker
like
reconnaissance Dalek
color.
later on.
I like it.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not
red, bright red, and reddish and blackish silver.
Yeah.
I'm there for it.
Like a pewter or something like that, right?
Uh,
I don't think I would put it in exterminate, but I do like it. I put it in the top half of annihilate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it doesn't pop out exterminate to me, honestly. So I would say annihilate as well.
Between Imperials and the Overseer.
I put it over the overseer. I like it more than the overseer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good spot.
seems about right. Okay, now the final Dalek we will be discussing today is a Dalek I never even knew existed up until earlier today when I was making final touches.
Slips through the
The
crack.
Buzzsaw Dalek.
Oh my god. It's
There's a
pizza cutter.
there's a Dalek with a buzzsaw manipulator arm, black and blackish gold. And you know what the funny thing is? We all saw this guy without even realizing we saw it. Can anyone
You did?
guess which episode this Dalek appears in?
No. I don't know.
Snark?
End of time? Day of the Doctor?
That's what I was thinking, maybe.
The Parting of the Ways. It's in the background floating behind the Emperor.
Oh wow.
I never knew about this until today.
Wow.
And
Even 50 Shades of Geek can learn something new every day about Doctor Who. Holy shit. Nice.
Yeah. And even the guy making the tier ranking list that I discovered this from, he also discovered this while making his list.
Nice.
It's amazing how you can always still learn new stuff from Doctor Who. It's astonishing. But yeah,
this is definitely just for the buzzsaw arm. That's an
That's
exterminate level
exterminate.
Dalek for me.
is it better than Quasimodo Dalek?
Oh yeah.
Time
Yeah.
Controller, Day of the Daleks, Drone, Davros. I mean, tell me when to stop, guys. Spiders.
Oh, you know what? Go put him below Davros.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Below Davros,
Yeah.
above the police drones.
where would you put him, Ryan?
I'd actually put him above the spider one.
Ooh, above the
Right.
Spider.
Okay. Yeah. I
All right,
can live
you're
with
the tiebreaker.
But that's the spot I was thinking too. I think I like the color scheme with the pewter and the red guy a little bit better than that one. But I like the manipulator arm better than I like the spider legs
Mhm.
on that.
Okay,
Dalek.
so below the
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, cool.
I think that's it.
So yeah, that's it. Unless you guys can think of any last minute Daleks You want to add to this list?
Dude, I didn't even know that there was this many.
I honestly thought there were more, but
Uh.
that's just me. So yeah,
That's a lot of Daleks.
the ultimate Dalek T ranking list. I think we've all learned a few things today from the Daleks.
Yep.
Yes.
Cans out
The
there.
fact that there can never be enough Daleks.
Oh my god.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, one can never have too many Daleks.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Daleks, while they do vary in size and shape, we all love them. We love them all,
Mhm.
and we love them all despite the fact that they hate us.
They can't stand us one bit.
And that's what makes a great villain.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, that about wraps it up for Dalek Month on this show. And that's about the end of today's episode. Let's get your guys' plugs out of the way, starting with the one closest to me on the bottom thing in the StreamYards, which is Soda Man.
You can find me on this channel, of course, on shows like The Squared Slice, Rewind the Tape, and Northern Countdown with 50 here Saturday mornings. And then over on the Let's Get Ready Network on Saturdays as well on the Dropkicks. And then on Instagram and Twitter, it's soda_the_saxman.
Okay, next up, the Snark Man.
Guys, I'm on the Northern Entertainment Group as well. I have a show Tuesdays. It's my buddy Daniel called Have You Seen This? We talk about what's happening in television, what we're watching, things that may be happening, like the news and television, etc. I've also got a show coming out soon with our old pal Frenchie. We'll be talking about whatever he wants to talk about. It's called Frenchie. Whatever Frenchie wants to talk about. And then if you're a member of the LGR Patreon, I also do a show there every Saturday, recapping their recap show, basically. It's also just an excuse to have drinks with my buddy Danny and hang out for an hour. You can see that on the weekend, but only if you're an LGR patron.
Very nice.
And the grantest of Stevens, Mr. Ryan Payne. What about you?
Well, people can find me. I have. They can find me on if you're interested in wrestling. I have a podcast called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. It's available on Spotify, Apple, Podbean, Anchor, Google Podcast, and Breaker. We've had new episodes uploaded, like 2 every month. We're gonna have some brand new episodes coming up. Go and check that out. Have a listen to it. Myself and my co-host definitely enjoy feedback. So we're always looking for new and different topics for our show. Also new other ways to, keep our show fresh and, to keep us on, to keep us looking more into wrestling as, for our passion. And also you guys can find me on Northern Entertainment Group as well. Whenever I pop up on any of their shows, and there's also old shows of Mount Schmodown on the Northern Entertainment Group. If you're fans of the movie Trivia Schmodown, go and take a look at those. Check them out. If you're, and just take a look at all the fun things that were there. And most recently, I was on one of my former co-hosts, John DeGreggio's YouTube channel, Movie Lovers Unite, where for the past couple of weeks I've been reviewing and breakdowning Moon Knight on his channel.
Very nice.
Very nice. And you can find me every week talking about the greatest show in the galaxy on this show that also shares the same name. I'm also, as mentioned, on Northern Countdown with Soda and Ben. And I also have my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. Go there to check out my review on the most recent episode of Doctor Who, Legend of the Sea Devils. And I also do all kinds of other fun stuff on there as well. I'm also on Twitch. A couple of hours ago, I did as of the recording of this video, that is, I played a little bit of Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga, trying to catch up to Soda, who's already two movies ahead of me, and hopefully trying to at least bring it down from finishing one movie in 5 hours to 3 hours in my last.
I'm just looking forward to doing free play and getting all the rewards.
Yeah.
And figuring out how to unlock the red bricks. Like, I don't understand that one yet.
I haven't even got to a point where I can think about the red bricks yet. But yeah, you can also find our good friend Ben on his YouTube channel, Multiverse of Geekdom. I've been on one of his shows, a couple of his shows, The Unwind, The Deep Dive. I believe Soda was there.
Mm-hmm.
Snark was there. Ryan, have you been on Ben's shows yet on his channel?
I've done his little rewinds when he likes to look back at shows, but not on his unwind. So I think technically I've been on his channel.
Okay. So yeah, that's Ben. Is Schmoden Analytics still going on this channel?
Yes, maybe.
I have no. I don't. I'm not sure.
I think we've had a lot of. I know with Mouse Showdown, it's honestly, I put that on ice for right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that pretty much covers all the shows on this channel. The Squared Slice, Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Have you seen this? Northern Countdown and Rewind the Tape.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Pretty much it. Right
and also, if you're fans of us and you like to be fans of friends of ours, you should also check out Taco on his channel, Something to Talk About, and Jess the Kiwi on her channel, Kiwi Jess.
Yes.
So I try to cover all my bases whenever I do plugs on this show. But anyways, that is it for today, and that is it for the Daleks. That is it from us and the Northern Entertainment Group YouTube channel, and some of us desperately need to go to sleep right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next month discussing the Sea Devils. I'm very excited for that. Goodbye for now.